Bro.
This map I got going on?
Yo.
Yeah, it's like
What's
I
up?
like the
Hold
new
on.
one. Hey, Ego.
How you go?
Yeah, Sean, Vexera is currently at 15% for me. Which is very high for normal.
You're a lunatic. What?
Absolutely
I've never
madman.
risen it like above 6. You're a legend.
One day I was feeling like real adventurous and put it to 50% and just lowered everything else. And then I realized people were trying to talk to me.
I just gotta save a couple pictures and then we'll be good to go.
Let's get it.
Hell yeah.
Everyone, excuse my bad Western accent when we play this game. I'm just fucking forewarning you now.
It's okay, I'm gonna be trying to make like weird fucking bird noises while I speak. So I forgive you.
We're just getting into the RP, baby. That's it, dude.
Yeah, so every sentence is either going to begin or end with an R.
Yeah, so
No.
basically, oh wait a minute, I get it, Ego. You're just role playing as D. Reynolds. Makes perfect sense.
What?
D nice?
Oh wait, that's
No, D. Reynolds from It's Always Sunny. God.
Yeah.
I
bird
don't.
person.
I've never watched.
She's a bird person.
I've never
God,
watched
no.
that person.
It's the joke. They call her a bird in that show all the time. which is bad.
Oh!
Yeah.
Duh.
Man, Josh, I thought out of everyone, you would have gotten that joke. Dude.
Yeah, no one ever calls her by her full name.
D.U. Yeah, they call her
It's
D.U.
either
bitch.
Sweet D or D.
Exactly. D. Reynolds. I don't even. You sure you don't mean the cat lady? Dennis's
No, that's
ex-wife?
that's
No, I know, but like, wouldn't
The
that
family
also
who
be
drinks
apropos?
milk. I don't remember what the fuck.
no,
her
that's
name
not the
was.
same. That's not the same girl.
No, I know. It's not
Oh
the
no
same
no
girl,
no!
I'm just
The
saying,
ones who drink milk. She looks like a lizard.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. We want to get on track. I think we want to get on track.
We're waiting for
Connor gave us permission to dick off till he said.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
he's doing some things.
I'm just saving these pictures.
Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm-mm.
Rather
Fucking, I don't remember who started first, but either I asked Connor a question or he asked me, and he's like, "Oh, I'm working on a map," and I was thinking like, okay, so it's gonna be like the maps you used to make, where it's all green and there's some boxes and stuff. And they sent me that thing he threw into the group chat, and I was like, "Yeah, this is the map of the world." I was like, "What the fuck? You did this?"
Yeah, I'll have to show you guys some of the other maps I've made in my life. They're,
What the
uh,
fuck you put
Is there a
effort?
program that you used to make that, Connor? Did you use Warcraft 3 editor or what?
Nah, it's something Mike actually let me use. He has an account on this site called Incarnate, and he what's it called?
Oh,
He let
did
me
he
like use his login. This is the same thing he made like our kingdom map with.
That's sick.
hmm Yeah, I fucking owe him big time. It's like a sick fucking
He's a hero
sick land. He really is.
of everyone's lives.
hmm Damn, can this picture not be so tiny? I didn't realize this while I was at my job. What the fuck?
XD, dude.
I'll go to show it to you guys and it'll just be like a 64 by 64 thumbnail. I'm just like, oh, sick! The mood has been set! Alright! So I'm looking for a picture that doesn't suck ass.
Hey, so the map that we're currently looking at, in the top right, not real? Is that the actual
which one? The one in World 20 or the one in Discord?
Roll 20?
Okay.
Top right, near Fjord, Foundry, and Olympus, it just says not real.
So,
Is that the intended name, or is that like a to-do come up with real name?
I have my own island.
yes you do. Northwest, I saw that. So basically, the universe, or like the world that this game is franchised in, hasn't actually been fleshed out to the degree that this map has. I found this map and I was like, this is pretty cool, I'd like to use this.
But it's not
Like,
real.
Yeah, most of it outside of like the center portion of the map isn't real.
Okay.
But for our purposes, it is. So, how are you?
Okay.
Not real.
Right. So those are the
How are ya?
Badlands that if we explore over there, we're like, we're going over here. And Connor's like, but no, like, no, we're going over here. invisible wall. There's a fucking invisible wall here.
Nah, dude,
Deal with it.
Run in place.
that's the end of the Earth, bro. It's flat Earth, you know, flat Tyria. You know what I'm saying? Fucking.
I read a fucking post, I think last week, that was, if the Earth was really flat, the edge would be the most popular tourist spot in the world.
Absolutely. 100%.
Hell yeah.
I mean, yeah, we're busy trying to get tourists into space.
Also, I'm very curious. These flat earthers, like, why do they? How do they rationalize the fact that a flight from California to Japan only takes like 8 hours as opposed to like 42?
You think they
Yo.
take airplanes anywhere? Fuck that
Chemtrails,
shit,
dude.
man.
XD. Like, I don't know. Implying they'd have a logical reason even if they did give you one. Like,
There are some very impressive ways people can bend logic.
Dude, them and their
convince themselves.
anti-vaxxers, bro. They should just fucking mate and just wipe each other out and call it a day.
alright, on that note.
Let's get it.
On that note, we're ready.
I've saved all my pictures and such, so
The popular opinion on the internet.
I need everyone to roll me a d20.
Alright,
Get it.
just a sec. I'm just gonna do it from here. Why not? Seeing we're starting with the good ones. Joshy!
Woo!
Josh and Ega roll again.
Oh.
Woo!
What a hero. What a hero. What is...
Yo, Dad, are you here, bro?
Yeah.
Roll a d20, you goon squad.
I don't know what. I forgot how to roll.
Go to
D20.
roll 20 and just type /R d20. /R space d20.
There's also
my
a fun
God.
little graphic on the left that looks like a D20, and if you click that, it shows all your options. So you can click 4, 6, 8, 10, 20. That's how I do it.
And if you actually click
yeah,
on the
there you
die,
go.
it opens up a window that you can just like up with advanced rolls and shit.
I don't know what
Rolling
I clicked, but I got a negative 1.
5DF. Okay.
It's your usual thing.
That is the fudge category.
Yo, Connor, are you gonna have Dad roll again? Because you had Josh and you can roll again.
I think it's
No,
because
they tied.
That was because they tied.
Oh.
Yeah, 7's not too good.
Yeah, you know, it's below average, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Question:
Yeah.
Why would advanced rolls have exploding in them?
Do you know what exploding is?
No.
It's I can't exactly remember, but it's something that when certain conditions are met, you roll additional dice.
There's some RPG
It
systems that if you
changes.
roll
Gotcha.
a 10, you roll again. So the 10 explodes, and you can turn it into a 30. Or if you roll a 20, then you get to roll again. So you can turn it into like a 34 if you roll a 20 and a 14.
Nasty.
So you theoretically could do 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and you
Yes.
click advanced roll 20, and if it's set to exploding, if it gets 10s and 10s, you end up with like a 53, and you're like, wait, what the fuck? And you look over, and you're like, oh, I had 3 10s.
Gotcha.
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 Oh, okay. So if you rolled over a 9, it's a success?
Here you
I
go.
think if it's less than 19, it's a success.
Alright. So, it's a beautiful day in
Let's
early
go.
spring. We find ourselves on the western side of the Shiver Peak Mountains. I'll turn to our continent map for this, so I can point. We find ourselves here, roughly, at a small town called the Gates of Kryta. Recently, Kryta itself has been thrown into like a sort of turmoil with a spontaneous undead uprising, Ettins and goblins rising up. It's as if all the beasts and baddies of the land have sort of risen up at once, and those who aren't fortunate enough to be able to protect themselves have been a little lucky, because Flint has been here doing some work keeping the people he can safe.
Well,
Lucas,
there's
would you
modified feature, y'all.
Lucas, can you describe what Flint looks like to us, please?
All right, so Flint he's a high elf. He's like 6'1", probably weighs like 175, 180. He has like dark black hair that goes to like the middle of his neck, like right past his ears. He wears a black duster. He's got black boots. He's got black chaps. And if you look in Discord, one second. If you look in Discord, he has a.
Oh, I'm also, as everyone enters the story, I'm gonna make your journal like viewable.
He's got a hat
Journal.
that is very special to him that he wears at all times. Think of like Indiana Jones style, like don't fucking touch my hat or I'm shooting you between the eyes type nonsense. He also has a very special piece of equipment on him. It's a firearm which is very new to this world. It's called preservation. And if you look in Discord again, this is what preservation looks like. The only amendments to this picture is that all of those gold inlays that you see along the barrel and on the frame and on the handle, it's all white, so it's like pearl. And if you look like northwest of the trigger and southwest of the chamber, there's like that there's a couple screws and like that, there's like a gold part. There's actually an insignia right there from the person who made this and gifted it to me.
What does the insignia look like?
So the insignia it says ABF, and it stands for Aventis Firearms. And
Okay.
it's like in descending order. So like the A is big, and then the B is a little bit smaller, and the F is smaller. It kind of going like in a cone.
Cool.
And they're white gold, like in the inlay, and that's how Aventi used to sign all of his works with white gold, because white gold's not really useful for anything, but it helps distinguish his work from others, and it's very pronounced. So someone can just take a glance and they'll know that it's his work based on the white gold inlay that is there.
All right.
And so he wears that on a shoulder holster. So it's like inside of his duster, kind of like an inside pocket, on his left side of his body, so that he draws with his right hand. He also has a 6-inch hunting knife, like kind of like a Bowie knife, on his belt, on the left side of his belt, so he can reverse grip draw it with his left hand, or he can normal grip draw it with his right hand. And on the small of his back, with the hilt facing to the right, he has a rapier, which is about 20 inches, I would say. And he kind of just has that to finesse people with if he needs to, but he doesn't really use it too much. But yeah, so that's Flint for you guys.
All right. So we found ourselves at the gates of Kryda on a lovely spring morning. Winter has just broken roughly a week or two ago, and there's a fresh breeze coming from the south in the direction of the Great Sea. Flint is getting ready on a journey. This picture we have here, did I get that to work properly when I showed it to you guys?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. So this is Flint's perspective. He's standing at the foot of just like a gigantic mountain range that he is going to be crossing by himself. A woman walks up to him. She's an elderly woman. She's carrying a horse on a draw with her, or carrying a horse. She's leading a horse on a draw, and she has a small pack, and she approaches Flint and says, like, we cannot begin to thank you enough for, like, the kindness you've showed us in your stay here. Like, I don't know what would have happened if you weren't here when those things showed up.
Flint takes off his hat and kind of does like a shallow bow, and he puts his hat back on, and he says, don't mention it, ma'am, because I'm just doing my job, making sure y'all safe.
And she, like, bows very deeply and says, like, if you ever need somewhere to stay on this side of the mountains, please come find us. The people of the Gates of Kryta will welcome you.
I appreciate that, miss. I really do. And I can't thank you enough for all the hospitality you've shown me.
Please,
If you ever
don't
need any
mention it.
help, don't hesitate to find me.
Well, thank you. This horse is yours. It is the least we can do. There's also about a week's worth of food in the pack. Good luck on your journey.
Bro, out of character. Yo, I got a horse already? Let's go, bro. We're making strides.
Shade, what are you gonna give us? What are you gonna give us?
Don't name it yet. All right. And
You said don't name it yet? God damn it, Connor. All right.
If anything, name it Roach.
yeah,
Thank you.
there you go.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty accurate. Well, thank you very much for this horse, ma'am. I appreciate it. I best be off because it's a long journey ahead of me.
Indeed it is. And like, so you get on the horse, you start like sauntering away from the town, and out of the woods there comes a kid. And you know this kid. This is Berto. He kind of like looked up to you a lot during your stay here. Also Berto for anyone curious.
Hold on. All right, hold on.
May I continue?
Yeah, go ahead.
He's got something clutched in his hands, and as he gets closer, you see it's a flower petal. And he says, I don't have anything to give you, but I would like to give you this. And looking at it, you recognize it as a red iris flower. And they're pretty common as far as flowers in this world go. But, I don't know. A small child is offering this to you as thanks up on your horse.
Well, Berto, thank you very much. I will accept this flower, and I will cherish this till the end of my days.
And he just like kind of like giggles and smiles and says like, will you be coming back?
Well, Berto, are you going to be here if I do?
I hope so.
Then you can count on it.
And he just smiles and like goes to give you like a very tiny handed high five.
I guess I'll reciprocate the tiny-handed high five.
He bows and just says like, good luck, and just kind of like runs back to town because someone's calling him.
And I kind of just give him a nod, and I'm smiling as I watch him run away.
All right.
Also, Connor, do you know the name of this town?
Gates of Kryta.
Gates of Kryta.
And so as we kind of
CRYDO.
it's what's it called? It's actually Kryta. It's a different part of the.
Oh, so it's not that one.
Yeah, so it's not Croydon.
God damn it, man.
I'm sorry, bro. All right. And next up, so we fade away. We get our sort of scenic shot that like looks up towards the sky and the mountains as it like fades to black, and we know Flint is beginning his journey east. Next up, we have Darrow, the Blood Cleric. Where the fuck? God damn it. You ever have so many browser things open that you accidentally close the one you need?
All the time, dude.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any minute now.
Oh, did you close Roll20 too?
Oh yeah, I closed it. Right during the streamed intro to my new campaign. Doing it big. All right.
And then Roll20's like, you haven't paid us yet. We're going to make you wait 15 seconds.
Oh, if you pay them, does that 15 seconds?
Yep.
It goes away.
I didn't
Yep.
know
And it
that.
will for everyone else too. Like anyone who joins the game won't have to use it because I bought it, or hypothetically, if I did buy it.
I'm buying it for you on Friday, Connor, or on Saturday.
No.
Says nah. Doing it anyway.
All right. Jay, please play this one. Wait. That was
Jesus
not.
Christ, what is the most epic fucking music? What is it, Lord of the Rings?
No, this is Guild Wars music. All of it's been Guild Wars music.
Well, excuse me. It's not happening.
You are excused. You're just
You dumb.
shitting on my childhood.
How is that shitting on the childhood? That's one of the best.
Calling it
Connor,
like
did you
Lord of
close
the Rings or
Discord?
something.
That's a compliment of the highest order.
Of the highest order.
So
Everything
because
has its roots in Tolkien. Everything.
yeah. So because the songs were linked in a playlist, it downloaded the entire playlist and not the songs that I wanted.
So you're like, oh god, you're gonna kill my computer. Close.
Yeah, so I just need like a direct link that's not in a playlist. Okay. I now have Sean's. Darrow's.
What are you
excuse me.
doing?
He's trying to be fancy.
Ooh. I'm gonna exit flint out.
Alright. So, we find ourselves in a very dark tavern.
You don't say.
Air. What?
You don't say.
The. The bartender is like a haggard old human. He's got like a thick beard and he's missing an eye. Been polishing the same dirty glass for, the entirety of the shot.
Why is it still dirty?
Set the mood, man. That grit. Alright, well, the bar is basically empty, except for one person sitting at the counter. Sean, could you please explain what Darrow looks like to us?
So let's pull up there. Darrow has kind of a hood up over his head right now. From what you can see from the sleeves and from his face, he has really light blue skin, almost kind of white. He has black eyes. You can see the outline of horns coming through the shape of the hood. And he has this thin tail, the same color as his skin, that comes out from underneath his cloak and wraps around the bar stool. And it has a blue spade at the end of it, like an arrow.
And we
Like
sort of...
Sorry, like your stereotypical like devil tail.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, we're, as this scene goes on, not much is happening here. The bar is incredibly quiet. There's no windows and there's no sunlight. Almost makes you wonder if this bar is underground or in a cave or in some other bizarre location. A couple seconds later, we hear steps descending stairs, and the door to the tavern opens. Another nefarious-looking character walks in. He's a human. He's got his hair back in a slick black ponytail. He's got a scar across his left eye. You know this. I'm type out his name. You know this to be Dalton, Darrow. He's an associate of yours, and for the sake of the plot, that's all I'm going to refer to him as. You know him well. You've done business together in the past. And he walks in and he opens the door and he seems kind of startled. He says, "Well, look who finally decided to show back up." And he kind of like walks up. He like cheekily like pulls out the stool next to you and kind of like sits down on it and just snaps his fingers at the bartender. The guy kind of just like rolls his one eye and just pours him a glass.
Yep. I'm back.
You know, man, you gotta stop running off, at least without telling anyone. You know, the other guys and the big guy, they don't like it. People might take offense.
I do what is told of me, and I leave when I feel that it's an okay time to do so. And I don't tell anyone because I don't want anyone following me.
Darrow. He kind of like reaches out an arm, like puts his hand on your shoulder, and like he's gripping just a little bit too firmly for it to be truly friendly. He just says like, things come up. You can never be sure what's gonna happen tomorrow. So, yeah, you do what you're told, but you can't do what you're told if you're not here to hear it. So, I'd appreciate it if you would at least check in with me or someone else before leaving next time.
I pick up the tankard, finish my drink, put the payment down, and I know it well because I do this every day, and kind of slink out from under the hand, say, I think I'm going to be leaving now. I'll take your words into consideration.
Well, I just got here, man.
Bar's a bit too noisy now for me.
And as we look around at the bar, we see that, like, the bar is just completely empty. Like, it is them and the barkeep side of it. And Dalton kind of just, like, takes a sec, like, has that, like, what look on his face. And then he kind of just, like, looks back at you without dropping the look and just says, like, you know, man, do what you're gonna do. But, I might not be able to help you if, you know, you fall out of favor with the big guy.
I don't think that's going to happen. He knows that I'm unique. That's the only reason that I'm still around here.
Well, just be careful. People pay a lot for unique heads to put on their walls.
And I'll start to walk towards the door.
And we see Darrow kind of like from the perspective of inside the bar, we see Darrow with his back to us. He's still got his hood up. He opens the door. Beyond it is just blackness. And like he almost just like melds into this blackness as he walks out and shuts the door silently behind him. And we're just left with Dalton and the barkeep polishing the same glass in the silent bar. Alright, who do we have next?
Not it.
Going in order.
Okay. Up next, we have Kiri Arak, the Aarakocra Ranger.
Yay!
How do you spell that? K-I-R-I?
Kirri.
R-I.
Arrak. Alright. Dun, dun.
So, we find ourselves at the top of one of the highest points in the land, the Shiver Peak Mountains. The air up here is incredibly brisk and chill, and those not accustomed to it, would pass out from the lack of oxygen that can be found at these altitudes. We zoom in on a particular cliff face, and we see Kiri walking through the snow. She's traveling light, as if she left unexpectedly. Would you care to describe your character to us?
Well, Kiri is, obviously an Aarakocra. bird-like person. Has 4 limbs, 2 legs, 2 arms, wings from the back. That's the one we're sticking to, right? The plan.
Yep.
Her coloring. Huh?
Never mind.
Her coloring is kind of light brown, cream colors. I'll just post a few pictures in Discord and show it to the audience as well. So something like these colorings. I've posted my model for what I drew kind of as well, so you kind of have an idea of like for coloring and such. Kind of accustomed to woodsy, snowy areas. Blue eyes. She is a ranger, so she carries a bow and 2 scimitars with her, and kind of like very light leather gear. That's about it.
Okay. And so, we see, even as an uninformed observer, Kiri's traveling very light to be in this sort of environment. Granted, she looks like she's accustomed to this environment, but even so, it's a little suspicious. And it's as the camera starts coming in closer to this, we have this white Aarakocra on this snowy mountaintop. It's tough to see at first, but as we start getting even closer, we see almost what looks like, at first you might think it's a rabbit by the way it's moving. It's this little white thing, and it's like prancing about her feet and like kicking up snow and sort of just like like making these like little noises and such. But it's not until we get closer that we see it's actually a white dragon whelpling. From the looks of it, this thing must have been run to the litter, because it's incredibly small, and also just like there are cats larger than this dragon whelp. Granted, they would be big cats, but they exist. So we see this little runty dragon whelpling like prancing around Kiri like she's like the sun and the moon, and we start like Kiri's sort of like reflecting on how she got to this point that she's at now, and we flash back to this one was part of a playlist too. Are you fucking kidding me? All right, give me 1 sec.
I'll throw my image up there in the time.
Word.
Because I forgot that was a thing that was supposed to be done.
So we flash back to an absolutely frigid day on the peaks of the Shiver Peak Mountains, where we find Kiri hunting, or appears to be hunting. She looks like she might be tracking something. She has her bow out. She's keeping low to the ground. She's trying not to make too much noise. She's obviously hunting something. And as she like keeps moving, she hears like there's a pile of rocks, and she hears these like little like squeaking noises coming from it. How would you react to this, Kiri?
I would
Or
curiously
how did
and
you react?
like slowly approach the rocks, kind of making sure that there isn't anything larger around. I would like, the first thoughts would be like, is this like a young animal, and is there like a parent around clearly crying for something larger, not to get like in bigger trouble, don't want to throw off the hunt, etc.
So as you creep close to this pile of rocks, you see this dragon whelpling, and it's one of its wings, its left wing, has actually been crushed under one of these rocks. It looks like they must have fallen from higher up on the peak and caught this thing off guard. But you notice that this wing is like absolutely crushed and mangled. And this is, you've heard of dragons, you've never seen one, but you never thought they'd be this little. Like, I can't stress how tiny this thing is for a dragon whelp.
I would like turn to the dragon, just like shake kind of my head, like curiously, because I'm kind of questioning whether it's actually a dragon in front of me. And I'd be like, I really hope your parents aren't around. And then, kind of try to like approach it slowly, not trying to like hurt its wing or anything. And kind of rhetorically, because it really can't answer me, like, where did you come from? And kind of pick it up and wrap it in whatever cloth I have around, just to keep it bundled up. And...
almost like a dog, like you start like swaddling this thing in the cloth that you have. This dragon whelp like starts like licking your face, like squealing excitedly, and like it's still like you can tell it's like gingerly like trying to keep like pressure off of its broken wing, but it's almost like expressing gratitude to you right now. And so we flash forward, well, rather we like pan away and we see Kiri like cradling this dragon, like walking through the snow. And it's at this point where we see a couple different memories of the dragon being like hidden away under a bed inside of a tent, or like, you know, sneakily feeding it scraps of food, like telling it to be quiet at night, and all these different things, until eventually we come back and this dragon whelp is about a solid 30 pounds now. And one night, it's sort of like, did you end up coming up with, you have learned that this dragon is a boy. Have you named it in the time that you've had it since?
His name is Anzor. Pet name is Anzu.
Anzu. And you see Anzu, he's kind of like walking around like the furnishings of your like teepee, and he's like walking around. He's almost slinking around like a cat, kind of. He's like, he goes back and forth between like cat and dog. Like you would never expect a dragon to behave like this. And he sort of he starts like rearing back like he's gonna sneeze. And you see him like, and then he kind of just like sneezes like, and nothing happens. And then he lets out this massive belch, and half of your teepee is like frozen solid from its cold breath. Needless to say, your neighbor starts calling you, Kitty! Kitty! Are you okay? Kitty!
People.
Kitty!
Everything's fine.
Kitty! Something's wrong! Don't worry, I'll get help! And it's at this point...
Watch Knuckles.
Answer, no, what you do? Stop! And then, so, we see, at this point, time starts moving a little more quickly now, and Kiri's standing face to face with a very stern-looking older Aarakocra. He says, Kiri, my child, I am so disappointed. You know that the dragons have been one of the most ancient enemies of our entire race. Yet you harbor one amongst us. I have watched you grow. I could never see you put to death. But if you will not let us kill the little one, we will be forced to put you into exile. I will let you choose. Please consider long and hard. Or like, please consider thoughtfully. Like, I don't know. You get the impression this guy is fond of you, and like, this is someone you know, but for the like sake of time, like, we won't go into your whole relationship with this guy yet. Trusted village elder.
I would respond with, I could never possibly let you kill a child. It's just a child.
But think of how it will grow. When I first met you, you were small, featherless. But now look at you. A huntress. A strong, powerful like fully grown Aarakocras, I guess the word would be. Like, all things grow. And even though this one appears to be small now, it will not always stay that way. And we may very well have much to fear from it in the future.
I'm a great huntress because I was raised to be one. Just like this is going to be a kind dragon because it's going to be raised to be a kind dragon.
I'm sorry, child. Can I trust you to pack your things? I would hate to get the honor guard involved. You know that to be like basically like the Night's Watch of like this Aarakocra settlement at the top of the mountain.
Kind of just like squint my eyes with like a kind of like a betrayal, almost like a how could you, and be like, don't bother, I got it, and kind of just like storm out.
And so we pan away to Kiri like walking away with like a small pack and like light clothes, off being trailed by this dragon off into the mist, or off into like the heavy snowy like wind that's buffeting the mountain at the time. And we return to the present. And as Kiri is reflecting on all of this, we see Anzu jumping about in the snow like some weird rabbit dog, like just loving life, happy to be alive. And we pan away to the sky. It's a crystal clear day, and we see that as we like pan away from the mountain face, we see that Kiri is headed east, and we get a view of like the valley of Ascalon from the from the peaks of the mountains themselves. I couldn't find a good picture for that, so you have to forgive me. All right,
Never.
next we have Skulker.
Yo, Connor, I just want to interject real quick.
What's
You're
up?
doing a fantastic job, dude.
Thank you. I'm glad you think so.
Good thing you got that in there before he has to wrestle with my story. 'Cause there's no saving mine.
Dude, you think that
I
was
will-
planned?
I'll give you this much of a spoiler. Skulker is the only intro that has 2 songs.
What?
Rather, like, the wind for Kiri was improvised. But, this is the only one I planned to have 2 songs for.
I will turn Vexera up.
Anyway. Did that picture go through?
Yes.
It's in the Roll20.
All of them.
Alrighty. Give me just a second. So we find ourselves in the Wayfarer foothills, north of the Great Wall of Ascalon. It's a beautiful spring day, and what's it called? We have like the shot of this like path through the dense forest that occupy these Wayfarer foothills, and we see like gentle sloping hills eventually rolling up to the Shiver Peak Mountains in the west, and we have like a shot of just like more forest stretching as far as the eye can see to the east. And as we start coming closer and closer to ground level, we see what appears to be a man walking this trail. Josh, would you like to describe Skulker to us?
So yeah, I was just trying to find a solid picture since everyone else seems to have great pictures for their characters. And in searching, picture literally Geralt of Rivia, but like way more scruffy.
Hell yeah.
Like the beard just explodes into fuzz.
All right.
We're talking like basketball diameter fuzz.
Approx. Not quite. It doesn't explode that much. But
Alright.
just
Alright.
like it looks like he's never shaved.
White
But
hair,
that
white
same-
beard.
Yes.
That same determined expression.
Yes. Yes.
Yellow cat like eyes.
Yeah, you got eyes. You got yellow eyes.
Not. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't decided that far. But the same level of, like, you'd mistake him for a very old person. Like, just an old person out of their time if you didn't take a closer look.
He's dressed, like, rather plainly. We see nothing extravagant on him. He's traveling light, but it's comfortably light. You get the impression, looking at his equipment, that he's been doing this for a while. Like, none of the leather is, like, shiny and new, but it's in good condition despite the fact that it's old. Just because it's not new doesn't mean it's, like, poor equipment. It's seasoned equipment.
It's worn.
Yeah, exactly. It's got that wear to it. And as we get even closer to Skulker, it's at this point that we, the viewers, get a massive whiff of booze off this guy. And we see he puts like a flask to his lips and kind of just like 12 o'clocks it, like he's like waiting for more to come out. And like a single drop drops from the thing into his mouth. And he takes it, obviously, but like, how does Skulker react to this?
Takes out his next flask.
He takes out his next flask, and this one is nice and full. We see a smile return to these lips as he uncorks it, and like you hear the liquid sloshing about, and you see it like the brown liquor like flowing like with the sunlight in it. Like, pretty lovely day he's having so far. And we see him take a turn off of the trail that he's following, and he walks into the woods. It takes couple, like probably an hour and a half or so off of this trail, and it's at this point that Skulker realizes something is wrong. Playlists are the bane of my existence. And so at this point, Skulker stops mid-swig from his flask and realizes that one of the perimeter tripwires around his property has been broken, and it's an incredibly like outer defensive like device that he has. It's just like a very thin tripwire. It doesn't trigger anything, but it lets him know that the property has been entered. And there's always the chance that it could be just an animal that ran through or something, but how does he react seeing this?
Are there any other traps, similar like clues in viewing distance?
So,
or any like
Skulker,
nearby?
We see Skulker kind of like surveying about, and a little further into his property in a patch of mud, we walk over, like Skulker walks over, and we, the viewer, look over his shoulder to see what he's looking down at, and there's a giant boot print.
Oh, and I put my flask away. That's what I did.
He puts his flask away, and
time to maybe stop drinking. Let's see what.
Over his shoulder, we see a massive boot print. Like, if this were a human shoe size, it would be like a size 16 or 17 boot print in the mud. And he can tell by like the crude make of there's no tread on the boot or anything like that. It's just a flat sole. And by the weight that was pressed down on this with, the weight that was pressed down on the mud to make this footprint, Skulker has lived here long enough to know that an orc or multiple orcs have entered his property. How does he proceed?
Stealthily.
Alright. So we see Skulker, he knows his property like the back of his hand. We see him stepping over every twig. He's creeping through the grass like a breeze. And we get a view of his house. It's a small, modest house, a very nice house at that, well made, like, it shows a little bit of that same wear that his equipment does, but when this was made, there was a lot of thought put into it. It almost looks too big for one person, but I mean, that's up to speculation. And we see Skulker as he's peeking out from behind a tree. He gets a view of the front door wide open, and there's some noise coming from inside. It sounds like things are being like thrown about and such. His room is on the top floor of the house. So anything that's of value is in there, but it sounds like all the intruders, any that there are at the moment, are on the bottom floor. The good thing about people who are really fucking huge, it's tough for them to be stealthy. So he's pretty aware of their movements at the moment.
I'd also be willing to bet that they can't fit up the stairs.
It would be a tight squeeze based on the
Okay.
orcs you've seen.
Okay. So, okay, how sure can I be that none of them are upstairs?
As sure as you can be.
Okay. Can I get to my bedroom stealthily? Like,
Yeah. So we
Okay.
see Skulker. He slinks around to the back of his property. He takes a little detour because he knows that there's a certain distance that he cleared around his house because he likes to maintain visibility. You don't want to sneak someone right up to you don't want someone to be able to sneak up right to your window because then you have a fucking problem.
even the owner.
So we see Skulker just fade into the tree line, and like he sort of slinks around the perimeter of this clearing, and then he approaches the house from the back, and there are no he approaches it from an angle that he knows no window catches a glimpse of. And we actually see that through the spots of the wood and stuff that he grabs, like he has climbed this before. This isn't the first way he's entered his house this way. He might have even exited this way a few times. The
I
wood
might
here
have
is
drunkenly locked myself out a bunch of times.
shit happens. It's happened to the best of us. We see Skulker sort of creep
Skulking.
up the house ever so silently, and sort of like he sort of just peels open the window, and like a fucking, I don't know, like butter on silk on glass, he kind of just drops into the room very smoothly, very silently, not a single noise. He looks around. There's a bed. It's too big for one person, but I mean, is a bed ever really too big? And we see like a small chest and like a dresser with some clothes in it. We hear the noises of orcs downstairs. They're sort of banging about, tossing things. They're speaking in their crude tongue. A round of laughter breaks out from them. They seem to be totally unaware. It's at this point you hear someone start walking up the steps, but as the staircase gets more narrow towards the top, you hear the scratching of or the scraping of wood on metal, and what's it called? A voice from right just outside the door. You feel like the door, or you hear the door like kind of like shaking, like someone's like pushing on it or whatever, but it's almost as if they're doing it like they can't reach with their fingertips. And you listen for another couple seconds, you realize whoever was walking up the stairs just got stuck. They're too wide to fit. That being said, they are right outside the door. This one orc at the very least. How would you like to proceed?
I quickly grab a few small sentimental trinkets from the nightstands, and let's see. I was traveling, so I probably had all my weapons on me.
Mm-hmm.
A few sets of clothes, just bare essential. Like basically, the go bag I already had ready,
Mm-hmm.
and the last sentimental things I have, and. Do I have any oil in the bedroom? Like a
You do. Lantern oil.
hot damn. I grab all of that. Start quietly laying it down at the entrance of the door.
Shit. Alright, continue. You hear there's now other orcs seem to be like at like the lower end of the stairs, and from the sounds of it sounds like they're almost tugging on this guy. But they seem pretty distracted, and they're making quite a ruckus.
Okay, I light the oil on fire and immediately exit the window quickly,
Mhm.
but like stealthily but hurriedly. And I throw a few rocks into the windows upstairs to finally like make noise up there. See if I can make enough noise for them to think that something is up there.
And you hear the cries turn from like conversational to like more hostile. Like there's clearly like, I don't know, it's not the same jovial atmosphere the orcs had while they were fucking around destroying all your shit downstairs. And so we see Skulker sort of like leap out the window. He doesn't even climb down because it's not too high of a jump. So he does like that roll to sort of mitigate the fall damage, and immediately skulks into the tree line, and no one has chased after him. We hear now the door actually. I don't know if he would have ran into the tree line, but we see him.
I would have stayed up against the house for a little.
Okay, we see him now. He like jumps, he rolls, and now he's like pressed up against his house, like listening. And we hear from above, like the orcs, like the door gets broken down, and then they start like yelling because like there's a fire in their face. They're all clearly distracted, and you can hear that none of them are like in. They might be some on the stairs, but none of them are on like the ground floor of your house at the moment.
So I go straight to the window closest to the kitchen, knowing that there will be more oil in there.
Mm-hmm.
A lantern, maybe cooking oil.
Mm-hmm.
Spill it, light it, and do I have a clear sight of like the front door that they came in?
Mm-hmm.
Bolt out of it and close it and try to find something out front to barricade it with. To pin it shut with.
Alright. Roll me. Let's see.
What do you think that is? Athletics?
Or
Or just straight up luck? Like, do I have shit nearby to barricade it with?
just roll me straight up perception.
Okay.
At advantage too, because you know what's it called?
Alright.
You
Oh,
like
fair.
know this property well. So you look around and you see this large branch that had fallen in the corner of the clearing during a storm that came through this time last year. It's large enough where you could kind of jam it into the door and sort of like try barricading it.
Does it sound like they're coming down yet?
Yes. It's now or never, basically.
Then now.
All right. So we see Skulker hurriedly he grabs this branch and sort of like jams it into the ground and then like rams it into the door so that it's like propped up as solidly as it can be, like barricading this door in. And am I mistaken in saying he doesn't stop to see the results of his work?
You are
He's sticking
mistaken.
around.
He would quickly venture out to the forest line.
Okay.
Like I don't
So-
want to see any of them get away.
The fire in the house picked up more quickly than we would have originally anticipated, and we see like we hear like screaming coming from inside, and this was probably cause for concern because his house was this prone to being combustible always. But his house actually starts going up very quickly, and we hear the orc. We hear a single orc like start like screaming and like lose himself in the middle of his sentence, and there's a massive thud as if he passed out. We see smoke like billowing out of the cabin, and we see the whole thing just start going ablaze. There's one orc up against the door, and he's banging and banging and banging, and he's using all of his strength, and finally the branch gives, and we see this shot from Skulker's point of view of this orc like charred and burnt to shit, like basically dying, like start like hobbling towards him and then just fall face first in the earth. And we see like the cabin like burning behind him. And as this cabin like starts to turn, as the flames start to turn to embers, like the orcs are silent, we see Skulker like just sort of like watching it burn. And then at what point does he walk away?
after a solid 5 or 10 minutes
Okay.
of
And
just
we get-
watching
we get a-
expressionlessly.
We get a point of view from some of like the smoldering wood as we look out towards Skulker, and we see he's got his back turned, and he just like disappears into the tree line. All right. And last but not least, we have Scatha,
The man himself.
the man himself. All right. Did I show the picture for Skulker?
Nay.
No. I mean, it's on
Yeah,
my
you
bio
did.
if you want.
Oh wait, you mean the forest one?
You
Yeah.
did.
Oh, the forest.
Okay.
Yeah.
You did.
Okay. All right. So this is for Scatha.
Also, we can't see Kiri in the character sheet.
Much
Okay.
mistier.
All players. Skulker.
That is the tiniest little picture.
Yeah, you should see the one I originally had. I don't know why, but for some reason, fantasy swamp art that had the aesthetic I was looking for. I don't know, just didn't do the trick. All right.
Didn't do it for you.
Whatever art was in cursive Strahd for that fucking probably
For the what?
the demon house.
Oh yeah,
The house that came
Oh.
alive.
one I almost killed you guys with. That would have been a good one. Fuck.
Live and you learn.
Live and learn. Yeah, exactly. All right. We find ourselves. Why isn't the music going?
I command you. Play.
Oh, I could actually do the right command. That would probably help.
Got him.
Good.
Oh shit.
We find ourselves in the Sparkfly Swamp, which occupies the southwestern corner of the Kingdom of Ascalon. I don't know if you guys know this, but the cooling rate of air is, I think it's referred to as the adiabatic cooling rate of air. So basically, when you have something like Seattle and the mountains to the east, the air coming off the ocean, as it's ascending the altitude, all the moisture gets squeezed out, and that's why Seattle is so like rainy all the time. That's why the air on the other side of those mountains is so dry. We have that same sort of situation here in Ascalon, where as the air climbs this mountain range, all this moisture gets just forced out, and as a result, we have this swampy, boggy, sort of clouded place where we find dragonborns and other such things. Yeah?
Check your Discord. I found a higher res version of that image.
Cool. Thank you.
Google
And so,
reverse image search.
No, actually. Tried searching similar terms and found it. I'm like, well, wait. Let me check the website. Oh, download. Here it is. Interruption over.
So I'll replace that so we have a better look at this.
Yo, this music is litty, dude.
I wanted to go for that kind of like faux tribal sounding shit.
Yes.
So, like not too
Yes.
intense. Alright, so
Dude, like,
how
I
does
got
this one look?
Beautiful.
That one's better?
Beautiful.
Thank you, Josh. Alright, so we find ourselves in the Sparkfly Swamp, and we look and we see the wooden palisaded walls of the Black Dragonborn settlement of Nuxvar. There's roughly 4,000 Dragonborns that live here, so this is a hell of a settlement. Granted, there are, bigger cities and such outside the swamp, but this is an impressive, collection of Dragonborns nonetheless. We see various tents and buildings and tree houses spread throughout. It seems as though there's no consistent design to the architecture of this city of Nuxvar. And we zoom in, and we see someone approaching the palisade from the outside, and it is our friend Scatha. Oh, could you describe to us what Scatha looks like?
Scatha is a typical dragonborn, large creature, maybe 6'6", 270 pounds. He's a black dragonborn from that race, so scaly and really shiny black skin. He's got a dragon type face, reptilian, and he's got large wings that protrude from his back, and he's a barbarian race, so he's doesn't have any armor and not too many clothes. But yeah, that's who he is.
And we see he has what appears to be some sort of kill or bounty slung over his shoulder. It's a massive, like vaguely reptilian looking beast. Like, it's scaled, but it looks more like a hyena than anything else. And we can assume this to be one of the creatures of the swamp. And as we see Scatha walking through town, we notice something. Most of these other Dragonborns don't have wings. In fact, very few of them have wings. In fact, we haven't seen one yet that has wings, except our boy. So you start to get the impression that his wings are incredibly rare. We also see that he's like, all of the members of his race are large, but we see that he is quite a specimen, to put it plainly.
In awe of this.
In awe at the size of this lad. So as Scatha walks through the streets of Nuxvar, we see other Dragonborns. He's greeted with respect, but also with like, it's almost as if like we see people giving him nods of the head and like, small like salutes and things like that. But no one actually stops to talk with him. And so we see Scatha returns to what is presumably his tent, and he sets his kill down outside and begins skinning it, like preparing it. It looks as if he's gonna make a stew or something. He gets a fire going, some water, and we see an older Dragonborn walk up to him. We know this older Dragonborn to be Catronius Jawsoul. I know it's a hell of a name, so I'll type it for you guys. Catronius Jawsoul.
What a name, dude.
Village Elder of Nuxvar. He is incredibly old for a Dragonborn. He is 110 years old. Most Dragonborns die at around 60 to 80 somewhere. They have vaguely human lifespans, I think.
Shifters are 70 as well.
Well, this dude is fucking old, even by his race's standards. Yeah, they live to be around 80, confirmed.
Yep.
And we see he's got sort of like flowing robe-like attire on, and he has the decorations of small bones and skulls and a couple of gems here and there. And we see he has a headdress which is composed of the head of a larger thing that a larger version of what Scatha had just killed. They look like the same type of beast. And we see Catronius open his mouth and he says, "Scatha, my son, what has the Earth Mother given you on this day?" And he gestures at the kill.
So I guess it's a.
Oh, you could call it a scale. I'm sorry about the. I didn't name
That's
the
okay.
creature.
Yes, it's a scale. My father.
May it make a lovely meal. Your your coming of age day is soon. Perhaps we should have a talk.
I would welcome a talk with you, father.
Once you've had your meal and you finish settling in, please come to my tent.
I will do so.
Alright, so we see they nod, they say goodbye to each other. We see Scatha very efficiently, he's flaying the meat, he's got the water to a nice boil. He seems to have a method to this. He drops all the vegetables in first and he lets them soak, and then he drops the meat in, and then he has a couple pinches of things he throws in here and there. He stirs it. Scatha enjoys himself a nice scale stew. It's at this point where like we have like the shot of like zooms in on Scott's face as putting down the bowl. I'm like, it's go time. And so we walk through the village and we get to the most ornate tent in the camp, and it's got like the same sort of like animal skulls and like bones and stuff, and like a couple gems here and there like hanging on the entrance to the tent. And there's like a very thick smoke wafting out from this tent. And you know this to be Catronius's tent.
So I enter the tent.
And you see Catronius sitting in the corner, and he has a very long pipe, and he seems to be the source of all this smoke, along with the fire in the middle of the room. He says, my son, please sit.
So Scatha sits down very respectfully.
He hands you the pipe.
Scatha takes a hit and coughs a little bit and hands it back to him.
You honor me with your company, my son. Unfortunately, I have very serious matters to discuss with you. As you know, our people were once mighty. We ruled large swaths of this world, and we saw other races bow to us. But those times have come and gone. The time of our dragon forebears is even farther away. As a whole, our people, all colors, have become more fractured, more secretive, more scheming and distrustful of the rest of the world as the time goes on. I, for one, hope that we can I, for one, hope that we can reverse this trend. I believe with the Knoll uprising and all the other terrors in this world, that peace is necessary now more than ever. Our people have lost their spiritual path. There is a prophecy of a great war that will bring about the final destruction of our race. The only hope speaks of a winged warrior who will unite the different clans and allow us to rebuild and maintain our glory in peace with the other races. This savior, he will be the least of children. He will be one of them, he will be one of us and not one of us. He will have all of our strength and none of our weaknesses. And he will be guided by an outsider whose introduction will happen through an act of kindness. I believe that you are the dragonborn that this prophecy speaks of, Scatha. And soon, with your coming of age, you will leave the swamp and you will venture into the world abroad.
I have long felt all the unease of our race, Father. Do not think that I am the one of the prophecy, but I will do what I can to try to help our race to survive.
My son. And he puts his hand on your head. He says, there is not a doubt in my mind. You will surpass even the highest of expectations you have for yourself. Sorry. I got something in my throat. It's the deep voice. Okay. So we see the chieftain, he pulls out, he goes to the corner and he goes to a chest and he pulls out this very ornate battle axe, and it's the wood is a solid black and it's polished very finely, and we see that in the wood are inlaid very small garnets and pieces of quartz and things like that, and the head is just a massive one piece of metal that somehow got forged into a devil-headed axe, and the wood itself seems to have grown around this devil-headed axe. This isn't mechanically like inserted. This haft was grown onto this blade, and they're in the center of the two like halves of the like double-headed axe rests like a large ruby. And he like hands the axe to you, and like he handles it very gingerly. So like, I don't know, you get the feeling that like this man of great significance, like handling this thing the way he is, like this axe must be some shit. And he hands this to you and he says, "This is a treasure that has been passed down from generation to generation since the time I spoke of prior. This axe's name is Dorth Arak." And you know, as a speaker of Draconic, that it means Lightbringer. So I'll type that also.
Father, I am not worthy to have the Lightbringer axe.
He puts a finger up and says like, "My son, trust me. I have seen the future. You will have great need of this axe, and someday it will surprise you in ways you would never dreamed possible."
Well, I will do my best to bring honor to the confidence that you're showing me today, Father.
Thank you, my son. You leave in 5 days, is it?
Yes.
Well then, enjoy your time here. Do not let me, an old man, take up the rest of your days in this hometown, or in your home city. After 1 year, you are free to live amongst us once again. I'm kind of getting at like a kind of Amish thing that happens in here. But if you do not return to us, I am confident that the world will benefit greatly from your presence.
Thank you, Father. I will return.
And he sticks out his arms. He's got like a black cloth to kind of like wrap Lightbringer in. And we see like this last shot of like Scatha with like sort of half cradling, half carrying this like black cloth thing that he's holding. He walks out of the tent and exits into the streets of Nuxfar.
Okay, so Scatha goes back to his tent and very gently stows Lightbringer away and just settles down around the fire and starts to think about the road ahead.
All right, and we get this shot of like Scatha like in his tent, like pondering as we sort of zoom out and fade to black. All right, now I just need other song. Okay. And it's at this point that we come back to Kiri. She's still in the Shiver Peak Mountains, but definitely lower in altitude. We start to see that she's below the tree line now. So, we have small shrubs, we have trees, things of that nature. The sun is low in the sky, and even though the sky is heavily obscured by clouds, we can tell that dusk is upon us. We see Kiri kind of frantically looking about as if to like find somewhere to hide, maybe. And we see the dragon it doesn't have its same joyful demeanor, but it's like asleep in like a pouch that she's like wearing over her back. She's carrying it like a papoose almost, or like a backpack. We see Kiri, she stumbles, like she like keeps like walking through the cold, and like she finally catches sight of a cave, and she sees this cave and begins like stumbling towards it, and kind of like makes it there and like sits down in the entrance with like an exhausted like thud. Kiri's been traveling for 2 weeks since we last saw her. We see that she's still traveling just as light as she was when she left. And we can see that she is haggard. Very, very tired. Just the way she sits down, like she sort of like flops her momentum onto the ground after like safely setting down the dragon and like her pack. What is that?
I have no idea.
Lucas.
What? Sorry.
Every time.
And so we see Kiri kind of just like flop down, and like she's not in the mouth of this cave, but she's like probably like 5 or 10 feet inside the cave just to be like sheltered from the wind. So she takes a couple minutes and composes her breath. What would you like to do? You have limited firewood, although you have enough to make one for yourself. You have some rations. You've been eating very light to try and conserve. You've been foraging what you can on the way down, but these mountains are largely barren. Some spots are more fertile than others, but this is not one of them.
I would use my best skill to, I guess, figure out whether it's like warm enough that we could survive without a fire, and like scan my rations to see like if I can survive another day without eating.
Surely, roll me survival.
Where be?
All right. So, like, surveying your equipment and your rations, you notice that you could you estimate that you have another like 5 days before you make it to like somewhere where you can like forage for food like effortlessly compared to how it is here, and you think you can have a light snack before or like a light snack and still be okay.
I would bring the couch where Anzor is sleeping onto like my lap. To like, I guess check if he's awake, and if I'm gonna have a little snack, I would make sure that he's eaten before I've eaten.
Okay. So the second he hears you like start rustling with the food, like the whelp immediately wakes up, Anzu. He immediately just starts like squealing, and he doesn't have that same energy that he had, but he's still like kind of clamoring at you, like towards you for this food.
I would like bring it down, so like to just invite him to kind of like settle down in my lap and like hand it over to him when I'm satisfied with his position, and kind of just use my wings to kind of almost create like bring them out in front of me to like shelter him from the wind and stuff, and kind of just hold on to as much warmth as possible.
So you see that like he eats the little like the morsel you give him, and he like what's it called? He like gets in like the shelter of your wings, and he starts like making very like satisfied like chirping noises. And it's at this point that you hear a voice from deeper within the cave. And it says,
Guess you didn't see this cave was taken.
She would basically kind of just like wrap Anzu as like quickly as possible, like hiding him, and kind of just like bring him to her chest and bolt up to her legs and be like, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Just a joke. Calm down. I'll be a gracious host. Stay as long as you need.
and as he speaks, you can smell alcohol like filling up the cave. Like, even though he looks as though he just woke up. Skulker, you can see based off of what Kiri has on her that she's like very like traveling very light. Like her destination must be nearby or something.
Kiri would be very uneasy and kind of like very afraid. No, she doesn't very much like she hasn't had much contact with outsiders outside of her Akaraka village, so she would just be very cautious.
So you're not sure how outsiders usually behave. I mean, you've heard the stories. They tend to be boisterous and obnoxious, and they cut down every tree they see and all sorts of other terrible things. But this one seems all right. He hasn't even gotten up to greet you. He is just sitting on the floor. You see now that he was behind a rock and like was just sleeping behind it, I guess sheltering himself from the wind, kind of just passed out and is sitting up from where he was sleeping. He hasn't made any moves towards you or anything like that.
I guess she would like use her wings to cover up like Anzur more, but like kind of curiously walk towards him, and be like, and ask him, "You wouldn't have any food on you, would you?"
Food, yes. Booze, not anymore.
Oof, you're gonna have one hell of a hangover coming in.
Is your destination close? You look like you don't have enough to make it much farther.
I don't even know where my destination is. Whoa.
This is an odd place to be to not have a destination in mind.
Yes, it is. What brings you to this lovely cave? Haven't seen
It's
much
the nicest,
of your kind.
It's the nicest cave around. You have good taste.
Oh, Shantae.
And it's at this point that Anzu kind of like creeps out from behind you and like runs up to Skulker and kind of does the thing where like, you know how dogs when they're kind of like playing with you, like they get in that real low crouch, like they're gonna pounce, and they kind of like wiggle their butts and then like sort of like faux spring at you and like do it like a couple times and like jump like side to side a little bit. Like,
as soon
Connor has a few cats.
as soon as I like saw that Anzu got away from me, I would scramble as quickly as possible to like pick him back up.
And you see that what's it called? You see that she like scrambles to pick up like what you think is a fucking dragon.
I mean, what would I say? So that dragon, how'd you? I don't think you came across that naturally.
What dragon? I haven't seen a dragon.
I break a piece of a ration off in my pocket and try to hold it out to see if I can bait it out from her arms.
Anzu sort of like
animal handling.
No, I mean he's a hungry animal at a certain point. It's just and you see that like he kind of is like struggling against her, but at the same time like doesn't want to use like the full extent of like trying to escape. Like it's kind of just like, Mom, let me have it. Let me have it. She's just like, nah.
I flick the ration toward its mouth.
And just snacks it right out of the air. Like a fucking snake.
I kind of like pull him back towards my chest and kind of give him like a stern like.
You planning on selling it or keeping it?
Selling it? Why would I sell it?
They're rare.
Also,
And you don't look well off. At least not right now.
the only thing that people want to do with dragons is kill them or torture them. Why would I sell them?
And you start to get the impression that this bird person that you have met is pretty passionate about nature.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen one or two bird people in your life. They're not the most common thing, and like you've heard of them and you've seen them before, so you know what there is, but you haven't gotten much interaction with them. You can't help but wonder, are they all passionate about this? Or are they all this passionate about wildlife?
Nah, don't get your head of yourself. I don't wonder that much.
Fair enough.
Okay. So, what, are you gonna raise it? Do you even know how to raise it?
Oh, he's got a better chance with me than he's got with anything or anyone else out there.
The nearby Dragonborn village cares to disagree, I'm sure. Better chance.
He's not a dragonborn.
No, but I'm sure they could at least give you some pointers.
That's like, I checked. Dragonborn don't breathe ice.
Last I checked, they breathe anything.
Yeah, they breathe lots of shit.
Yeah. And that's not like a vaping joke or anything. Out of character.
That kush!
So that's like a thick of like Kiri's lack of knowledge of everything out there. Showing like she clearly doesn't know anything about the outside world. And then like she noticed that like she was proven wrong, and then she would just like snap back at you, be like, he's my companion and I'm keeping him. He's all I have left.
Fine. Whatever suits you. Don't know how long you'll each have.
And it's at this point that you hear like a rumble of thunder from the sky outside, and like it sounds like an ominous rumble, and like you get the impression that you two might be here for a little while. At least for the rest of the night.
You see like
Do I have wood near me from where I've been possibly burning a fire already?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, you brought some with you. You know the journey well. Would you like to light a fire?
Yeah, I prepped the fire for another round of lighting. And I make sure to move to the side opposite it from the cave mouth as a gesture of like I'm never gonna stand between the Aarakocra and the cave exit.
Mm-hmm.
I learned this from dealing with cats. You don't want to stand between them and their only escape.
Mm-hmm. That's when you start getting that cornered animal type.
Yep.
Good. And Kiri, like you see this gesture and like you're pretty sure that it was done deliberately, and like if you're not mistaken, this man is just trying to show you some hospitality.
Like she would turn her head like towards the cave entrance just to like think about it, and like notices the storm and knows that she doesn't have much chance out there. Kind of almost relaxes her shoulders and then continues on her last point. She's like, even if we don't have much longer, at least we have each other. Do you mind if I sit by the fire with you?
If you can stand my breath, sit as close as you need.
But she kind of
And
just like nods her head and sits down and kind of like lets Anzu just like sit on her lap or run around.
Yeah, where does Anzu go?
So Anzu's kind of just like walking about. He's kind of just like sniffing the cave, almost like he's just like checking the place out. Like he realizes we like might be crashing here for a little while, so he just starts like getting himself comfortable with the surroundings.
Like that thing that dogs do where they sit for a while, they're like, okay, patrol, and then walks around.
Yep.
Patrol, and like, okay, sit.
Yeah, patrol the 20 by 20 cave. All right, everything's like present and accounted for. Like sit, and then another round later. But yeah, and so we get this final shot of like Kiri like sitting down like across from Skulker and sort of just like warming her hands by the fire, and like as we fade to black, we like see like some rations being broken out, maybe, or like
Quote unquote hands.
maybe another like awkward conversation begins or something. And it's at this moment that we see so I'm gonna go to the kingdom map now. Alright, let me...
Is that the one in Google Docs?
Yep, I also I just switched to it from the yeah, it's the one from
the
Google
Roll20
Docs.
now.
I also just switched to the Roll20.
Wow.
What's that, Darth Vader?
Yeah, you sound like pure cancer.
Shit.
There we are.
Alrighty.
Is that better?
It's about the same.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Sounds like
Are you
something
talking
going
through
on
your
with the
phone right now?
connection.
Nah, this is what happened. Hold on.
What happened?
Well, he said,
the
this is what
Discord
happened,
mobile
and then
browser.
DC'd. So, this is what happened.
No, he said this is what happens.
Oh, happen. Okay.
Yes.
Maybe he uses Discord in his internet browser.
Maybe. Oh my god. Fun fact, I guess, while we're waiting for him to come back, in my last campaign, the other group of guys that I play with, Sean is a member of them, had used Skype for a while, and when it came time for me to run the campaign, I was like, yo, like, if you guys want to play this shit with me, we're using Discord, I don't give a fuck, like, we can go back to Skype afterwards, but, like, we're using Discord. And so, like, eventually, like, I got, everyone started using Discord, we've been playing for a while now, and, like, the one complaint that we have about Discord is that it just doesn't work for Sean for some reason. It gives him all these weird fucking bugs where, like, the longer he stays connected, like, the worse his connection gets, and, like, all this other, like, weird shit. And then finally, like, it's like we're level 7. It's like a couple
Like
months
a year goes by.
Yeah, we're like a very fair amount of time into this campaign, and during the session somehow comes up like, he's like, I don't get it, like, what browser do you guys use, or something along those lines, and like everyone in the party is just like, what? And literally, like, stop session, I'm like, we're not doing anything else until you download this app. And like, after months of agony, yeah, we finally
Yeah, it's just like instantly fixed. And like, has it ever happened again? They're like, no, you fucking idiot.
So we find ourselves at the village of Yakspend, and we see that there's a storm, like, up on the Shiver Peak Mountains, but it's far away. It's down here in the Valley of Ascalon. It's a nice day. We got a soft breeze coming from the east. We find ourselves at the village of Yakspend, which I'll point to on the map. This right here, letter H. It is a trading establishment, primarily dwarven. We know that the dwarves occupy the southern half of the Shiver Peak Mountains, and mostly mountain dwarves do, at least. And there are some hill dwarves about also, because hill dwarves are from the Kingdom of Ascalon. So we see like a couple different, there's like some human traders around. We see like a lot of people like calling, like, you know, some people have stands set up, other people are looking for goods. There's a couple boards posted around. We see like a few inns with like people coming and going. Like, this is very clearly like a place of like trade and transit. Like, and out of character, I'll tell you that like if you're crossing the Shiver Peak Mountains on the east side, it is Yak's Bend, the first like outpost that you'll come to, and on the west side, it is the Gates of Kryda. And we zoom in, and we see our friend Flint. He's standing amidst all this chaos, and he's looking at a bounty board. And we see on this board notices of things like attention travelers, like danger, like gnolls have been like appearing in like increasing numbers in the surrounding countrysides, and like bounties for gnolls, and like we see a couple of other things here and there, like a giant yak that's been causing problems, like someone put a bounty on its head, but for the most part it's bounties from the crown, and they're all paying 1 silver per gnoll tongue. Fun fact about gnoll tongues, they are black. What's it called? And so we see Flint standing, and he's kind of just like studying this this bounty board. And like, since there's so many of them, like he takes one of the ledgers for the gnoll bounty. He's heard a lot about these gnolls. And it's at this point that he hears a voice from his right.
Well, looks like you're looking for work too.
Luke.
And as he turns, there's just this blue-skinned, horned, scarred up, almost human-looking person uncomfortably close to him, and he has no idea how he got so close.
Luke, you here?
Big boy's muted.
Sorry, I was muted. Out of character, what's your race again?
Connor?
Tiefling.
Tiefling?
Okay. I didn't know if he was renaming it or if that was like secret or something.
So
Connor, what did you set me up as?
I look over
Death
and I
Lord.
say, wow, yes, I am looking for work. Anytime I can help somebody out and get some silver out of it, you know, it's a good day for me. By God, I've been alive for 225 years and I've only seen a tiefling 2 other times. You're a rare sight, my friend. My name is Flint. How do you do?
I am Darrow. Is that what I'm called? There's never been a real good name for it that I've come across.
And in the mind, we roll the tape of Darrow's memories as people hurling like all sorts of nasty insults at him. Like, I've never heard and then that flashback of like devil child and like demon spawn and like all this other shit. Just like word for it.
Right. So
Well,
as you're looking at him kind of face on, as opposed to whatever you saw before, he's got like 12 deity symbols around his neck, just a ton of them, and there's like tattoos creeping up out of his shirt, and you see like scars across his hand and his chest and whatnot. He looks kind of scary, but if you look at his eyes, there's just not a whole lot of emotion going on.
Well, Darrow, I'm pleased to meet you.
It's been nice meeting you too. Oh, that's past tense. It is nice meeting you. Would you like to work together on one of these things and get silvers and kill stuff?
Darrow, it'd be my pleasure.
It
Take
sounds
it that
fun.
not many people are kind to you.
No, not as much. I generally need to prove that I'm worthwhile before people will account for me as a worthwhile being. But you seem nice. You must not be from here.
Oh, I'm from everywhere.
What?
but I think that most people, they can't get past your outward appearance. But if they just looked in your eyes, they would understand that you are a kind soul.
That's very kind of you.
Well, what do you say? I gotta go talk to a dwarf about some ammo. And then why don't you and I go fuck up some kobolds together?
That sounds like fun. I think I would like that.
Alright, follow me.
Where is
Connor-
this dwarf that you must see? Is he,
Connor, do I know? Like, I've been here before, right? I'm guessing.
You've never been east of the Shiver Peaks.
Oh, okay.
You've been all over the western side, but this is your first time east. But
like, there's
You
like a
find-
shit ton of dwarves everywhere, right? So I'm kind of like,
yeah,
I'm like, I'm kind of like, I know I'll find someone.
yeah. Roll me a d10.
D10.
All right, so you spend about 6 minutes looking. You eventually just end up asking someone, and this one dwarf just points you to a tent, like sort of towards the gate closer to the Shiver Peaks, and you see that like this tent actually has like a small house attached to it, and the tent is actually like a, what do they call that shit, like an awning or something like that like comes off the front of
Yes.
the rest of the
yeah,
house.
Yes.
yeah, awning would be a word for it.
Oh, you
Alright.
mean for like the
And-
entryway, sorta.
And you see that there's like smoke coming from the chimney, and there's actually like a small, like what appears to be a storefront outside this person's house. And you could assume it's a dwarf because it's pretty tiny. Like you could look into the second story if you were on your tiptoes.
That's cool. So I guess, hold on 1 second. Okay. Okay. Hold on 1 sec. So I'll go up to the door and I'll knock on the door.
Well, you see that there's actually like a small like countertop, and there's like a swinging door to like get from inside to outside, but there's like a small bell hanging from the awning.
As he walks towards the door to knock on it, I just reach up and ring the bell.
Okay.
And you're like, hang on. And what's it called? Eventually, after like an odd amount of time, like 3.5 minutes to get to the door when you're just within earshot, like, I don't know. Anyway, a stout, robust-looking dwarf walks through the door, aren't they all? You see, he's got red hair and a brown beard. He says, "Aye, what can I do you for?"
Kazar Doom, Khaled Zaram Kim, Jarbahun Farakun. And like I bow. Basically, I just said, "Hello, Master Dwarf. It's nice to see you." And I give a bow.
Ah.
Connor here.
I was gonna say, can I respond
here,
with
here.
gibberish?
No, wait,
Like,
wait, here.
I'll allow this.
Did you just use another language?
Yeah, I just used Dwarvish. Well,
Oh my god, you're so extra. That's amazing.
I just used random words. I didn't
I
actually
want
like
that on
make
my
a sentence.
tombstone.
But my god, I usually just say blah 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 in Dwarvish. That's amazing.
Dude, I'm trying to go
fast.
in. You know what I'm saying?
and you see he kind of like laughs to himself, says, "Uzdukbar, Nick Dal," and he kind of just like pounds the counter. And he says, "What's a knife ears like you doing speaking the mother's tongue?"
And then I guess I'll go, Gibil Nala, Gazatu Doom Flint, Kim Udushinbar Uktharbun. And I just say, like, wouldn't you like to know? My name's Flint.
This guy gets like a hearty laugh out of your what's it called? Out of like your joke. And he just like bows very deeply, pounds like both fists to his chest, and says, "Bars." And then he says, what's it called? Bars Darkbeard is his name.
Nice.
And he sort of gestures to your friend, who is Darrow, and Darrow, he now turns to you and says, like, would you like to stop feeling so left out? Because he, like, sees the look on your face.
I have not tried to speak that tongue before, but it's nice to see you again, Bars. Those knives you made for me, they've been very good. I like the little ones.
Yeah, I've noticed that. What's a lad got such a use for such a little knife for? What do you use it for?
I open up the inside of my cloak, and there's like 5 of them just stitched into little pockets all on the inside.
That's sick.
And you see him counting. He goes, "Where's the last one?"
oh, that's a secret.
Prison pocket.
Don't worry, no cavity searches. So, and he slams both his.
That's weird.
Too late. Yeah, too late. He already slams his fist on the table. And he says, "So, how can I help you lads today?"
And he goes, Flint goes, Master Dwarf. He's like, I have something that you might find interesting. And Flint goes into his holster and takes out preservation, spins it around, and then slams it on the table. And he goes, do you have any idea where this came from or who made it?
Is the sigil face up?
Yeah, of course.
And you under his breath you hear him mutter "Doshek," which is basically just the dwarf way of saying fuck. And he just looks up and he goes he looks at you, then he looks at Darrow, and he says how long have you known him for?
And I count on my fingers. 1,
6 minutes.
3. Yeah, that.
Bullshit. And he looks down back at the gun on the table. He's like, where in the fuck did you get this?
Boss. A very old friend gave this to me. And I've kept it in perfect condition ever since. And I was wondering if it wasn't too much trouble if you had some ammo that I could buy from you. Or as you call them, bullets.
Well, and he he reaches out with his hands almost as if he's about to cradle a baby, and he says may I?
But of course, it is your kin after all.
And he takes the gun very gently and sort of cradles it in his fingers, and he very distinctly has his hands nowhere near the trigger as he rocks the barrel back almost towards his face but not quite, and he goes, I have a few rounds, but they're for blunderbuss. Actually no, not a blunderbuss. What do the dwarves call rifles? They're for a boomstick.
Musket.
A musket.
Well, they call them boomsticks, I'm pretty sure, in Forgotten Realms.
I'm sure musket might be the formal word. I'm just gonna use both interchangeably. Fuck it. I got
fucking
rounds.
Free for all.
Yeah, pretty much. I got rounds, but they're for a musket. It's gonna take me some time to shave them down, but if you come back in an hour, I'll have something for you. He goes, I charge 1 silver per 10.
Boss, I have a feeling that you and I are gonna be fast friends. And I got a little bit of, what do they call it around here? OCD? I got 14 rounds with 6 in the chamber. You think if I gave you 5 silver, you could give me 56 rounds?
I'm
And
really
he,
doubting any sort of medical diagnosis exists. But go on.
Sorry, let me rephrase. I'm, what do they call it? I'm a bit particular about things. And I got 14 rounds with 6 in my chamber. You think if I gave you 5 silver, you give me 56 rounds?
He goes, you take me shooting with half of the first chamber, and I'll throw in the last 3. He basically just asks you if you let me, I'll throw in I'll charge you for 50. I'll throw in the extra 6 if you let me shoot 3 of them with you, just outside the camp at a tree or some shit.
Connor, out of character real quick. Did we decide? Here, I'm just gonna message you on Discord actually.
So So as what's it called? We see like Flint and Darrow like having this conversation, and we pan away, and we look a little further up the mountain, and we see that there are two figures like very high up on the slope, maybe about 2 or 3 hours out, and it is Tyria and Skulker.
I'm back.
Good timing.
Wow.
No, I've been here. I just meant mentally. I've been trying to edit an image, and it's not playing nicely.
That'll happen.
Yeah.
So, it's been 4 days since we saw Kiri and Skulker in the cave, and we see that like both of them are in like decent spirits. Like neither of them seem too on edge. Like they're not standing too close together or anything, but like they're passing words back and forth occasionally. Like they're clearly not complete strangers anymore. I'd leave it up to you two to decide how you I don't know what degree you'd be at, I guess, but I know like you started warming up to each other in the cave, pun intended, I guess, kind of. So I'm just assuming that like that continued, if in a neutral way, like continued to some degree. Just like being nice. Am I wrong? Do you guys hate each other?
No, I don't think I'd hate him. I think I would have definitely warmed up to him by now, like given the fact that, you know, he seems to be one experience like kinder than what she's used to, and kind of like knows his way around. So
I'm sure at some point I would have mentioned that I'm a shifter, because I imagine that her race is as tribal as ours.
Yeah.
Like similar sort of.
You've heard of like each other. Kiri, you've never seen a shifter. Skulker, if you had never left your homelands, you would have never seen an Aarakocra. But like you have heard of like the bird folk, and like you, Kiri, would know them as like the woodwalkers, or like the there's like many names for them, like I don't even know, like the claws of the wild, yeah, the were-touched. Like there are a lot of different ways of referring, but like once he starts explaining to you, you hear like some of the stories, and you're like, okay, like I've heard of something that sounds like this before.
Yeah. And that would, like, I feel like that would make me feel closer to him. Given that he has almost that, like a primal animalistic side to him as well. I guess, if you will.
So, we come over one particular crest, and we now, like, see that at this point in their conversation, they're overlooking the village of Yaxbend. They're about 2 or 3 hours out. Rough to say. You never know when you're gonna have to take a detour, because you can't really see the way down too well with all this snow. You have to alter your course sometimes. Now that you're within like decent sight of a town, how would you choose to continue with Anzu?
Kiri would definitely be, at first she would be like super excited and like really wanting to go into this town and be like whole new world exploration type thing, and then she kind of like quiets down, realizing that she can't go in with Anzu. She's got to protect Anzu, right?
It's however you'd like to go about it. If you want, like, you can assume that Anzu would be like quite a sight in a town like this, and you might not want that much attention, especially seeing as how this is your first time in the outside world.
Skulker would have definitely told you as much on the way. Like, again, he mentioned from the get-go, they're rare people, like, they're valuable. Like people would steal it off you in a heartbeat.
And there's also like clusters of trees and things like that surrounding like the village out to like, like you could easily be like nearby without having to be inside of the village if you wanted to just like hang out outside basically.
I definitely like present the idea to Skullgrin and be like, I should probably stay out of the town. I can, wait in the tree line.
Why am I going into the town?
I mean, I assume that we need supplies. We've been out there.
That's kind of a DM question.
What's the one thing you're out of?
There's
Food. Beer. Food.
You know for a fact
Beer.
that your boy Bar's Darkbeard has the freshest like scotch and ale in the entire like establishment. He's a friend of yours. It's funny because he does this thing. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, my
You'll
local
see.
Japania. I got you.
Yeah, he's Japania C37.
All right. I asked Kiri if she wants me to try to find anything to stock up on.
She just mentions that food would be nice.
All right, more booze it is. Connor, how much silver did you say we start with?
10 silver.
10. Not for long.
Yeah,
And then
don't
like,
worry.
Kiri's like, if you need silver, let me know, but it's for food.
I got it covered.
Well, so now we cut back to Flint and Darrow, and they had some time to kill during the like Bar said, come back in about 2 or 3 hours, like somewhere in that range, and I'll have these bullets shaved down for you.
So, being a local and Flint not having been here before, I guess I would have showed him around the town and been like, so could you give a one sentence description of what this town does, Connor? Like, what's the purpose of this one?
This is basically the main trade hub of like the other side of the Shiver Peak Mountains, more
Okay,
or less.
so
And like
I would
you'll
have showed
find
him around and been like, so there's like, this is where the good fruit is. Over here, they have really good pigs on Mondays. On Tuesdays, they get the cows in from the south. So there's the grain that you can get over here. Over there is where there's this one dude who brings in really cool stuff from behind the mountains. And then this is the guy I get all my clothes from. They're mostly black. That's the only stain he knows how to use.
Oh, wait, boys, I'm very sorry. I literally went AFK for like 1, maybe 2 minutes.
What's it
All right,
called?
no, just give me a rundown. So,
Nah. Sean, do you think you could say that again?
Yes.
So basically,
So the town that we're in right now is Yak's Bend. It is
Right.
the trade hub, kind of the west, east of the mountains, west of the empire. So I'm leading you around and saying, so this is the smithy. You meant bars. Over here is where there's the really good fruit stand. I come and get my breakfast here. Over here is the meat vendor. He's got pigs on Mondays. He's got the cattle on Tuesdays that comes up from the south. Over here is a guy who brings all the really cool stuff from over the mountains. And then this is the guy I get all my clothes from. The only stain he knows how to use is black, but they fit really nice.
you know, Darrow, I think this is the start of a beautiful friendship. I appreciate the tour.
And you look down and you see both of them are dressed in all black. Like,
So you'll come to think of it, you might actually get along with my sense of style here.
Well, in case you haven't noticed, Darrow, I think I already do.
No one's
I like-
actually considered me this much of a human before. It's nice. It's been a long time. Usually people just kind of see what they can use me for, or run away in fear. I usually don't go out during the day. This is a rare occasion. I was going to leave, stop by the board to see where I could get something to make some money, and there you were.
Well, Darrow, every being in this here existence is worth something. It's not who you are, it's what you do with your life that gives you purpose. And that shows you what kind of person you are. As far as I can tell, you're as good as the rest of them. And I'd be honored to have you as my partner. And go kill some gnolls, baby.
Kill some nosies.
yo, those were some good words, dude. I felt that shit. I enjoyed those words. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So it's about time, like, you guys walked around, like, you tried some of the fruit. It's pretty interesting, but it's all shit from back home, so, like, it's nothing new to you. They have a couple
it's
things.
Like, it's all elvish fruit.
Yeah, exactly.
Shit that I ate for 80 years
Like-
of my life.
It's like me growing up on this side of them hills and coming to this town fairly recently. It's like, this is fucking amazing! And you're like, yeah, this is like Dory fruit. Like, I have this all the time.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
What'd you
apples.
call it?
I said Dory. I just made up
That's
a word.
canon now.
Ew.
That's one thing I love. Like, if you guys, like, while I'm DMing for you, like, if you name someone or, like, something, like, I'm all about that shit. Like, you
But
don't even have to message me
That's
beforehand.
exactly why, Connor, I said, give me a one-sentence description of this town, and I just made up everything else.
Exactly. I didn't, like, I would have made a fruit vendor had there been a need for one, but, like, that shit's there now. Like, that, I enjoy that kind of, like on the fly DM style. So, like, if something truly wouldn't be there, I'll tell you, you won't find it. But for the most part, if it's feasible, I might find a way to work. So please feel free to kind of try and, like, push your creativity a little bit in terms of, like, things.
Pushed it over the edge. Got it. Bye-bye.
This is my
creativity.
personal magic item bidet, like, vendor. He's fucking awesome. Like, So it's about that time where you think you can start heading back to bars now. You tried some of the Dory fruit.
Darrow,
You noted-
I think he's about ready. You think we should head back on over there?
Oh, I agree. You have very good track of time.
Yeah, that's what living out on the roughs for 120 years does to you.
Oh, I've only been doing it for like 5 years, so maybe I'll get there someday if I live long enough. Who knows?
And maybe a tree will become an elephant if it tries hard enough. No, I'm just kidding.
What's an elephant?
Alright, so I guess we walk back over to the bars.
And you see Bars is standing there, and on the other, like, so you notice that he was standing, like, on, if you were looking at his house, like, the door is dead down the middle, and the swinging door is dead down the middle, and he was standing on, like, the right side of the counter, like, talking to you guys. That was the side you approached him from in town. Out of town, like the left side, not that there's much of a spatial difference, but you see was basically Geralt of Rivia standing, and he's like waiting for, like, a small cask to be filled from a bigger cask, and, like, this man and Bars are exchanging words.
One of multiple casks. Flasks.
One of multiple casks. It's gonna cost you, or, like, more than a single one would have. I don't know.
Do
It's
it.
up to you.
Give me 2.
All right.
Nah,
That'll
give
be
me
one.
one. Give me one.
All right. That'll be 40 copper.
All right. 10
So,
silver is what? 100 copper?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, if you have a silver, I don't want to have to like break change in character. So like, just break down a coin if you need it. Like, even if you do a couple of them, like I trust you guys to do the math.
Right, you
It's
don't want to
100.
role play. Hey, you got change for a silver?
Yeah. Oh no, fuck! I only got coppers. Like, oh, fuck me. Like, I only got golds. I'm sorry. Like, go try someone else.
That probably would have been in character. Like, yeah, give me 2 casks. And he probably says, like, you can't carry both of them out of here. Okay,
Hey,
fine. Just
you, one with the horns. Can you put this on your head? That'll be useful.
And you see Bars. He has like his back turned to you, and he's filling this cask from like a cask under the counter, and like there's already one on the counter, and he's filling like another mini cask. And you see, he like looks over his shoulder and he goes, "Ah, boys!" And he like doesn't finish filling the flask and like puts it up on the counter and says like, "These are the ones I was telling you about." And he says, "This here is Darrow, always wandering about, has a taste for black, just like you, and like, wait, you're also blacked out, Skulker, right?"
I would say it's more like that. Yeah, the picture I chose is, but it's more that like dingy brown, like overcoat sort of, or not overcoat.
Okay, I'd like to
couldn't
retract
figure
that
out the
statement.
term for it.
Only because
So
of-
like deep forest greens and dark leather browns.
Dark leather browns, yeah, but with like that burlap sack, rugged, worn, yeah. Like cheap on first inspection, burlap sack.
You both like wandering. Darrow's always here turning in bounties. If I'm not mistaken, you've and he kind of like sort of like jabs at you a little bit, Skulker. And he's like, "You've turned in a few of those, am I right? And kind of like poking you in the arm.
Most of those bums turn themselves in. I just got the money for it.
No, the best jobs are when you do nothing and they just do it for you and you take credit for it. I love it when that happens.
I guess it is time I got back in the bounty game.
Oh.
You
This,
two would probably get along. And he like says like, "You've
This
both
is
got the
split.
same energy." And he like, he kind of just he's like, "You both got that like that flat, low kind of, you know." And like he's doing like a lot of hand gestures and stuff, and like you start to see like a little bit of sway in his stance, and you wonder how much of the product he's been consuming.
a 1 glug, a 2 glug, a 3 glug for me. A 1 glug, a 2 glug, a 3 glug for me.
Pretty much. But he says, "You there?" And he says, "It's Flint, right?"
Oh yeah. I kind of poke him in the arm and say, "Yeah, this one's Flint. He's a nice guy."
You ever turn in any bounties, Flint?
Well, the thing is if I get paid, then that's just a bonus. I enjoy helping the people more than the money, although the money is nice.
You all would get along. Y'all got that fire in ya.
There's
I
don't know if you
I
passed
look
the
back
board
at him
yet.
like you don't know how relevant that is right now.
Wait, what?
Fire in ya.
Yeah,
Because his shit just got burned down.
I just
remember?
lit
Oh.
my house on fire.
Yeah,
Too soon.
I mean, yeah, I totally intended that.
Too soon.
I'm on that level.
No. I haven't told anyone about that yet.
Yeah.
So, what's his
Kicharis are like, so my house burned down.
Out
What
there,
was the question?
Skulker. And he's never given me his last name, and he starts like jabbing him again. You're gonna tell me this time? And like, I don't know. He always does this to you, Skulker. He always, because you've been like passing through this way for a while, and you know he's got the goods, so he's like kind of like taking like he's kind of fond of you.
I
So
get
he
it.
fucks
yeah.
around with you.
The Boz likes to take in stray dogs.
I look at him and say, "Tell me when you meet another skulker, and then I'll consider having a last name."
He kind of just like shrugs as he's like goes back to filling up the cask. He's like, fair enough.
So, Skulker, did you pass the posting boards on the way here? There's lots of jobs for Knoll tongues, and the more we kill, the more we get paid, and the more people to help kill them, the more we kill.
Do your pupils dilate or anything like as you say that?
My eyes are pure black. They're like it's an all pupil.
They're always
Like a
Is
shark.
it
like
always
Bruce in
black?
Finding Nemo.
Or
It's always all black.
okay.
So if you try to look at my eyes to get any read off of anything, it's just like are you fucking crazy?
There's more body language I could get a read off of, but no, my response. I'm interested, but I have a traveling companion waiting outside of town, and
If
I don't
they
know how
like killing
interested-
things too, they can help.
You know, I hadn't gotten to asking them that yet.
So as this conversation is sort of like what's it called? Like running its course, we like zoom away and we look like sort of into the woods nearby town, and we come to a shot of like Kiri, and she sees that she's like, obscured enough where she doesn't have to hide herself, and for the first time she's like almost like at a weird ease. Like she knows that she has no home now, but you just can tell that she is like, I don't know, she's not freezing in the mountains anymore.
Right. It's less frigid down here than it was
Yeah.
up there. So
She's
that's like the
enjoying the
one piece of
reprieve.
solace that's being appreciated.
It's livable here, so I don't think she'd be like huddled against a tree like, it's fucking cold. I think it's like she's accustomed to temperatures much like more than this. So on like a beautiful day like this, I feel like it might almost feel like a warm spring day.
I feel like if she felt like she was obscured enough and she would find like a spot in the trees where it has like a little bit of clearing where the sun is coming through the trees enough to like hit the grass and like be nice and warm, and she would just kind of like lay down, like spread her wings out, like lay on her back and just have like Anzor like sitting on her chest while she kind of just like soaks in the
And
sun.
you see Anzo, who's like, he's clearly got that same energy he had in the first scene we saw of him, and he's kind of like bouncing around, like, doing the happy thing. He's like sniffing about, like exploring things, and he sees you, and we kind of just see him like roll onto his back and just like sprawl his wings out. And he's got like all four of his legs in the air, and he's kind of just like looking at you.
I kind of like look at him with like one eye open because I'm like shielding my other eye from the sun. I kind of just smile and giggle at him for like repeating what I was doing. And then kind of just go back to like absorbing the sun and just like smile to myself.
Just two practical dinosaurs enjoying the sun.
Yeah.
I get it.
Because birds
Yes,
are like
yes.
dinosaurs, and like
For
dragons
reptiles,
are like
yes.
a lot.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely, yes. Oh yeah.
You're gonna have to give me a moment
Yep.
to find a song, but I want to set the right tone for what's about to happen.
Okay. I had a feeling you were fucking with something, so I was trying to like fill the air with words.
You're
Okay.
the fucking man, Sean.
While you're taking that like quick chance to take song, I'll be right back. 1 second.
Okay.
Flashback to well, actually, before I take over anything, Never mind. Fuck it. Sorry.
That's one way to fill the air, yes.
Uh-huh. Words and stuff and things and reasons.
Canon.
Yep.
That description is no.
So I'll wait until she gets back to start, but that is the
So, are we just going to assume that I maybe convinced her that we should go to the Dragonborn village?
just hang tight for
Okay.
Full
It'll explain itself. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember how hard Bars was like, yeah, you should be friends with them. And I was like, okay, cool.
dmbeg.exe.
Okay, I returned. Oh no, what is this ominous music?
So you hear something from like deeper into the woods, and it's like further south where like the woods start to like thicken up, and there's like a small like sort of not like a giant ravine, but like a small like divot in the earth here that kind of gives way to like a flatter plain below, and you just hear like a sick, almost like cackle. I don't know if I dare to imitate what this would sound like.
I dare
Almost
you.
like a. I feel like if I were to do it, I should take off my headset because I'm gonna be like yelling. Oh.
Connor did do that in the last campaign. He would take off his headset, and then we'd hear him in the distance, and then fucking wail out, and then put his headset. No pressure. You could just say there's some cackling.
So basically, I want to try and set the image at least. Kind of, there's like a certain insanity to it. It's like, did you guys ever watch The Wild Thornberrys?
Yeah, are you talking about the wild child that was
brother
like
Donnie
partially
who'd be
autistic?
Like kind of just like freaking out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like kind of just like a sick, like maniacal, like sort of just like delirious, like menacing joy.
Oh, my regular
And like,
life.
so basically, you hear this, but it's like in the distance. But you hear like one, and then you hear like another, and you realize that there's possibly two or more of these things. And after like hearing like 2 or 3 successions of laughs, like your ears are trained enough to know that these things are coming closer to you.
Quote unquote ears.
Your
Feather
head
holes.
holes. Yeah.
I would. It's like as soon as I picked up that's like something's up, I would scramble almost like to my like knees and one of my arms and like reach for Anzor and kind of like pick him up and almost like dash, almost tripping over myself like with my 2 leg, with almost tripping over myself and like hit up against a tree and like hold him close to my chest and kind of try to see if I can see anything.
Is there an outer wall for this town, or is it just like a road that goes into the town?
There's like a stone palisade like around, or like a stone wall like built around the town. Like it's pretty thick, like it's at least like 4 layers of bricks thick. But there is like just an open, what's it called, like portcullis.
Okay, how far away from the wall has Carrie been chilling?
She's about a half mile outside of town right now.
Oh goddamn. Okay.
What's it called? Because like it wasn't like the trees closer to town have like been logged for things over the years,
Okay.
and like so to be truly obscure. Just
Okay. I was just trying to get an image of kind of what the.
I'm more explaining for her sake, like why she'd be like, why wouldn't I camp somewhere closer to the only person I know in the world in this strange land? And I don't know. I want to give context at least.
Yep.
So you see these 2 like they're far away, but your eyes like see them. It's tough to make them out. They're men, dogs. They run with the grace of and like insanity, like the coupled, like just graceful in the sense that like they have pure reckless abandon and no concern for their bodies at all. So they don't attempt to alter their path. They will run through a bush. They will like, they're just insane, like out for blood, like just gallivanting. Like these things are true, like the incarnate of madness almost.
Roll for initiative. Sorry.
I'm sure we'll get there.
There's still decent ways out.
I would take a quick look at like my surroundings. I clearly don't want to go in the sky because the town would notice me, but I want to like see if there's like a tree big enough for me to like jump into, for like to keep a safe distance from the ground.
Yeah.
LOL.
All right. So we see Kiri, and do you use like your wings to aid you at all? Like, do you get like just like a small like burst off the ground and kind of just like land in like a brush, and like with one like arm, like Anzo either following you or like if you're holding him, just like climbing the tree higher?
I'm holding him to my chest, and depending on how high like the
You can get
spot
about
is,
15 feet off the ground before it starts getting just like dangerous. And like the branches and like the leaves are like winter just broke. It's still early spring, so there's not much coverage, but some of them are pines. It's a weird like mixed forest kind. Actually, nah. You know what? Fuck it. This close to the mountains, it would be a pine forest, 100%. You're thickly obscured, only because trees. I don't know.
yeah. So I would like
They don't
I would
intermingle like
hold Answer close to my chest. Like I would not let him be by himself. And I would just like do the minimal amount of movement to stay as stealthy as possible, like to just jump up, maybe get a little bit of air, and hop into the tree.
All right. And that is where we get like we kind of fade to black as we sort of zoom out, and we zoom over towards a different direction of the forest. We see Scatha. He has left his village, and he has begun his journey abroad. He learned of the gnolls, like he had heard of the gnolls, but they seldom entered the swamp. He had never gotten to fight any of them personally. But since settling, he has learned that these gnolls are quite a threat abroad, and they're also a great source of coin. If he can catch them in small numbers, he's quite large and skilled. He can like outmaneuver, or like they bring like a savage fury that like he can match with his own. Scatha, it's a beautiful morning. You're about an hour into your trek, and you know that the spawning, like the way the gnolls appear is unknown. Like you only find tracks that have been going, and it seems as if they pick up out of nowhere. So you had a tough time tracking them, but you have been tracking a small pack of gnolls north towards a small dwarf establishment called Yakspend. And you think today you might make yourself some coin. You've been following the tracks for a few days now, and you see that they actually do stop to rest, albeit it seems for very short times. They do settle down. They don't leave much like behind them when they do, a couple bones here and there, but it seems like they just stay on the move.
Okay, what time is it?
It's about 10 in the morning. You can tell that the tracks you're following now are fresh.
Okay. So I'm continuing to follow the tracks.
So they take you. Do you have like? Are you enjoying the weather in any particular way? Like, I don't know, or like, do you have like your arms spread, like take a nice breath or anything? I don't know.
He is a man focused on a fucking
Yeah,
mission.
He's on a mission.
I'm a skilled hunter, so I'm, you know,
Yeah.
I'm
Not fucking
following
around.
the scent. Yeah.
This man does not understand what smelling the flowers means.
I'm gonna say.
I'm not.
Would you say?
I'm on the hunt.
I was gonna say. So that's my kind of lame segue into your like character development. Would you say you're almost like brimming with rage?
At this point, no. I don't think the rage is always bubbling. It's close to being bubbling to the surface. Skyler is always in a mental turmoil to keep that rage under control.
What are you, the Hulk?
Yeah, basically.
So we realize that these tracks are fresh now, and you hear from the trail. Honestly, I don't know if I can recreate that laugh that I did before, but you hear
That
like
laugh.
a savage, like lunatic laugh from further up.
Okay.
You see that as you get closer, you hear more like sort of like lower, like and like just like not like outright yelling, but almost like calculating or like plotting in a weird way. And you see 3 gnolls standing at the base of a tree, and they seem to be like almost like trying to like climb up it, but then they like slide back down, or like they don't really have like the mechanical discipline to actually like properly, I don't know, like get up a tree.
So they can't climb a tree, and so is my first reaction thinking that these gnolls have something trapped up inside that tree?
Uh-huh.
It's like dogs who are barking up a tree at a cat, and you can't quite see the cat, but you know the cat's there.
Yeah, you think they've cornered something up there, and you've seen like the carcasses they left behind, like they eat fresh.
Right. All right. Well, I'm not interested in having them, you know. I'm interested in stopping them from attacking whatever they're attacking.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
you're
gonna try to make myself. They don't know that I'm there yet, right?
right. So what I'd like you to do is roll me a stealth check at advantage,
Okay.
because they're very preoccupied.
All right. Hold. Give me 1 second.
Sure thing.
Oh, I thought that was him. I was about to
Oh.
say.
Oh, Jesus! Got so excited.
What's it called? Well, I pressed his button because I wanted to see if there was an advantage toggle. Either way, a 14 or a nat 20 would do it. They're pretty distracted. These things don't seem very smart. They seem like they're just driven by like a primal desire to just partake in just ripping things apart. And it's like one of the most like savage and like, you know, like even creatures in the swamp don't act with such disregard for life. They kill to eat. You know, like there's a certain dignity to the natural order of things in like a savage kind of way. But these things, like, they kill for pleasure. Like you see, they leave like half-eaten carcasses left behind them, like ripped to shreds with none of the meat even consumed sometimes.
Okay.
So it's at this point that like you're watching and like you realize now that like one of the gnolls is starting to like actually make success climbing the tree. So now we flash back to Kiri. You've been like trying to be just quiet and still, and Anzu's in your arms and he's kind of just like quivering. How do you react? So like this gnoll like gets his hand on the first branch and kind of like starts pulling his way up.
I would reach for well, if he was like a close distance away from me, like is he kind of like with a little legs length reach, in which case like I'd start like kicking
Not yet. He's got about like 13 more feet until he gets to you.
I would attempt to like put Anzu on my shoulder and like tell him sternly that like, you know, he has to behave and like
Do you
reach.
have a cloak, and does it have a hood?
No.
Oh, sorry.
I do have like that pouch though, but I would like just let him sit on my shoulder, and I would reach for my bow and kind of start trying to aim at like the thing because you know it's a decent distance away, so that's my last chance to like hit it with a bow.
Roll me your bow attack.
Okay.
So you like narrowly graze the thing's face, and it kind of like gets like a scratch, and like you see like some blood start like drizzling out, and like it kind of just like looks and like reaches its long black tongue out to its cheek and kind of just like licks it and gets like this savage grin across his face. And that's when you hear something I can't honestly find a good sound effect on YouTube for to use with the bot. Wait. I'm gonna pause the music. You just hear the crack of what sounds like almost like thunder mixed with like dynamite. It's like the oddest thing you've ever heard. And we look back and we see Scatha, you look over your shoulder and you see a man dressed in all black. And as like a man dressed in all black standing with another man dressed in all black, standing with standing with a man who is dressed in like dingy like traveling looking clothes, standing with a dwarf who looks hammered. And you see this man just standing with this pistol in his hand, and like the pistol, like you see the silver accents on it like catch the sunlight as this crack just like rings out, and like birds take off from the trees, and this knoll just falls like dead, and like everyone is like distracted by like what's just happened. Like, I mean, I don't know, rather like the gnolls have no idea what just happened.
The gnoll that was climbing the tree is dead?
Yeah, he just dropped down and he was like kind of just like licking the blood on his face, like fucking around, like taunting her almost, and like Flint just appears and just puts a bullet in him.
And
the gnoll that was climbing the tree, he no longer has a face?
He is dead.
And the other two are next to each other?
And the other two are kind of looking about, like, very panicked.
Are they both next to each other, though?
Yes. They're like, they're standing about 10 feet apart from each other, because they're on opposite sides of the tree. So they were kind of like doing like a circling thing around it. So they're not directly next to each other.
But like in terms of my relationship to them, am I like in a line with both of them, or are they?
So you're with them, and you're on the same side of the tree as one of them, and you know that there's a gnoll on the other side, but you can't truly, like, you can see like his like limbs as he like moves them and stuff, but you can't actually see him.
So the tree is blocking us, basically, right?
Yeah, you got one of them isolated on this side of the tree. I mean, granted, it is a tree, but they are separated.
So what I'm saying is, if I decided to use my breath weapon, would I be able to the straight line through the tree and hit the other guy too, or no?
No, it wouldn't be powerful enough to just melt through the tree, but you would probably roast this guy depending on what he rolled.
Yeah, so I think that's what I would do. I would use my breath weapon.
Wait, Connor, did you upload a picture for the setting of like the combat? Like, did you change the picture, or is it still?
No, it's still Theater of the Mind.
No, we're kind of just like Theater of the Mind.
Okay.
Well, you know what though? Actually, if I couldn't hit the second guy with the acid, I would probably just try to attack him if I was close enough. Yeah.
All right. Roll me your attack at advantage, because he has no idea that you're coming. What's up?
Did I get my bullets?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Okay, wait, hold on. Yo, everybody, real quick, go into Roll20 and go to your settings, or go into your character sheet, and then go to the little cog icon that's next to spells, and click where it says it's like the fourth line down. It says auto damage roll. Click that and make sure that auto roll damage and crit is selected because it's naturally on don't auto roll damage. That way, when you roll your attack weapon, your damage will appear as well.
Wait, what?
Here, I got what he's saying.
You want to just
Put it
do it for
where?
everyone? Tom?
Yeah, I could go through and do it everyone real. Do it for
Okay.
everyone. real quick.
Auto roll.
Don't do it to mine.
Yeah, I was playing with it the other day, and I was rolling an advantage every time. I didn't know why, and
Well-
whenever it would roll
Oh,
an
this
attack, it
isn't
wouldn't
that.
automatically roll damage. That's so I don't see where that is, but I understand.
Sean, when you're in your character sheet, there's a little
Yeah.
cog icon next.
Oh
it says
yeah, no,
right
I'm in
next
the
to
cog.
spells.
Oh, I see.
I'm in the
Okay, you
cog.
see,
There's a bunch
it
of
says
shit here.
auto damage roll. It's like the fourth line down. Just
On the
click
right
that,
box.
and it should be the second option, the bottom
Oh,
one.
on the far right. There we
Yeah.
go.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah, I got it.
Auto roll damage.
You did it to mine already, Connor?
Yep. Yeah, I got you.
Alright. So did I roll correctly or no?
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
Yeah,
roll
you roll
queries.
correctly.
Advantage toggle. There we go. I just saw the magic ghost change it for me.
yeah.
Yes, I leave advantage toggle on.
I am the box ghost.
Yep.
All right. So
Rules wizard.
I still have to do Kiri.
Not
Don't touch mine.
Iga got it. Iga got
You
it.
got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Word. All right. Word. So we're all set. All right.
Hey Flint, that was a great shot. Oh my god.
So
Blew that
like
guy's
that.
face off.
as you're saying that to him, you see a black dragonborn, like for the size that he is, moving with like the swiftness and intensity of like a charging animal, and like he literally just comes through and just beheads this one gnoll. Like he almost like he wasn't anticipating how hard he was going to hit through them with a 23, and just like literally like sinks his axe into the tree because the gnoll's head comes off so cleanly and has to like yank it out. And as you're saying, like, Flint, that was a good shot, man, and like you just see this thing, like this dragonborn just coming and just like raw, and just I don't know, like do you cry out as you do these things, or are you just silent? Like,
No, he's silent, man.
Oh,
Totally.
Silent.
fucking monster, bro.
Yeah.
The creeping death.
hmm
All right.
Maybe we can get the tongue for that one before he notices.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a clean one.
So, Darrow and Skulker, and Kiri, I guess. Roll me a d20.
Oh,
Fucking
Nice.
And before anyone else can even like process, like maybe we should kill this third one, you see an arrow just come out from the top, like from the branches of the tree that you can't even see into, and an arrow just comes out of the tree and just thump, and just like right through the thing's like eye, and the gnoll is sort of like staggers on the ground. And it's like dying but not dead. Skulker, do you go for the kill, or do you just watch it die?
How good a line of sight do I have on it?
Perfect.
Oh yeah, I go for the fucking kill.
All right, roll it.
Damn.
Is this? Are you whispering this to me?
Josh, did you roll?
Oh, I am. Yeah.
I'll
shit,
honor the
my
roll.
bad.
I'll honor the roll, but what's it called?
Okay,
He
yeah.
rolled an 18 to hit and a 10 damage, and so you
I
see
rolled better
Skulker.
than what you see.
How do you do it? You just stick out your hand, or like what?
Why do you have Eldritch Blast?
Yeah, I
'Cause-
stick out my hand with little warning, little fanfare.
You're the fucking worst, dude.
I knew it. I wasn't going to, but it was honestly one of the best choices.
All right, Dad. Just so you're not out of the. Basically, there's like this meme on the internet where warlocks, like, all they do is cast Eldritch Blast because it's like the way the
It's
class is set up.
100% true.
So Josh's other character in our other game is a warlock, and like basically all he does is cast Eldritch Blast. So it's just funny that he was able to.
Warlocks
like,
only
die.
have 2 spell slots until level fucking 6. So you just do Eldritch Blast.
Because Eldritch Blast is what they call a cantrip, Dad, where it's not like a level skill. It's just, you
Okay.
can cast it as many times without needing a rest.
I got you.
So the joke here being like, I'm not even a warlock. I'm a rogue. Like, I shouldn't even have any spells, but because of the level 1 feat and some other stuff, just like
I
oh,
got
this
ya.
character's totally the opposite of my other character. But Eldritch Blast.
Okay. I get it.
Well, I could have a short bow or a crossbow as a rogue. Nah, Eldritch Blast.
So Kiri, this dude just stole your kill. I don't know if the Aarakocra have any like ways about that. I'd kind of leave that up to how you'd like to react in character. I don't want to impose something upon you and say you have to react to this. Like, how do you feel about that?
What is my line of sight like from the tree? Does everybody see me, and do I see out?
No, you're pretty obscured from them, but you, because of like your like eyesight, can kind of just make out the like 3 humanoid figures and like a short one, like standing over there, and then you are very aware of Scatha at the base of the tree. And it's at this point that Scatha kind of like you like are looking up into the tree to see what they were, chasing, and you see Kiri, this white Aarakocra with like some squirming thing like on her back.
And do I recognize Skulker though? Question.
Yes, you recognize Skulker. Like you heard, what's it called? Or like you do recognize Skulker. So you know he's with them.
My hood's down, and I have a fully like salt and pepper white-haired furry face.
You can smell the booze.
I would definitely cover pull down Unzor and like obscure him, like definitely have him in a cloth or a pouch or whatever the heck I usually carry him in, and kind of keep him close to my chest and kind of like burst out of the tree towards the knoll that has the arrow in his eye, and kind of like look at Skulker while pulling the arrow out and be like, I can smile from a mile away. I see you have friends?
Oh, it's you.
Yes, friends really seem to be drawn to me quicker than I'd like these days.
And Flynn.
Yes, sir.
Bars kind of just like looks up at you and just says like, "Can I shoot it now?"
So like, first
Oh
thing
my
I do-
god, he came out here with us to shoot at a tree and he
Yeah.
shot at a fucking knoll. Oh my
No,
god.
you didn't shoot it. I did. But, yeah.
Flint shot it. Flint just like
Okay.
tapped the thing.
No, I was thinking the entire time, why the fuck is Bars here? And I just realized.
So like, first thing I'm doing is like I reload like I reload preservation, obviously. So hold on, let me just update my ammo in my character sheet. And I give like a hearty laugh, and I go, "Oh, so hold on, I literally just lost my accent so hard."
Happens to me all the time. That's why I try not to use them.
Oh, so oh, so you God damn it, dude. Hold on. I gotta mute myself. Hold on.
You gotta get it back. I feel that though.
There's a ritual about it.
So, Master Dwarf, I guess you want to shoot my gun, huh? All right, give it a go. Here you go. And I
you
like
see-
hand preservation over to the Master Dwarf, aka Bars.
And so, like, we see, like, in the background, like, Bars trying to, like, he's, like, pointing at a tree a decent, like, amount of way and, like, trying to, like, pull the trigger, but, like, something's, like, not working. As we see, like, Skatha and Kiri, like, standing next to each other. How do you guys address each other as you, like, stand over the corpses of these gnolls and kind of just, like, watch this dwarf try and shoot this gun?
I think I would automatically recognize the little dragon pup there, though, right? Or no?
You would 100%. And
Wait,
you know
I am
for a fact-
hiding him. I don't know whether you've seen him yet.
But I think I
You
would.
said that the dragon pup was on your shoulder last time. So if you would have
He was on the
hopped
shoulder when I was in the tree, and then I, like, before I jumped down from the
Roll
tree, I
me-
pulled him in, like, the pouch.
I
and-
kind of have a feeling though that I would either
Roll
sense or
me
smell them or something.
Also, guys,
slight-
can we use the right terminology? They're called whelps, my guys and girls.
All right. I
Well.
would sense the whelp and/or
Kiri,
smell the whelp.
please roll me a sleight of hand check.
Oh, Jesus.
Nice.
Skatha,
Versus
please
Dave
roll me a
Skatha.
perception check.
my man.
It doesn't
you
matter.
read
It
my
don't
mind.
matter. It don't
Want me
matter.
to
You
roll
don't know that?
perception?
Yes,
roll
please.
perception.
All right, hold on.
You can still be worse.
Disgusting.
So
Oh.
you see, like, she's clearly trying to, like, hide something, and then just from, like, around her, she's, like, trying to keep something behind her back, and from around her hip, you see a very distinct, tiny, draconic face poke out at you, and, like, kind of, like, panting as she, like, stuffs it back behind her, and is, like, just, like, are you just trying to act like nothing's up? Or you're just like, oh, he's very energetic, like, just, like, keeping him corralled behind you, or, like, how are you going about this?
Who you talking to, me or her?
I'm talking to Kiri. Like, how is she trying to play off, like, this dragon pup that's clearly just, like, being a little hyperactive thing?
I would, like, try to, like, stuff him back and, like, tell him to and try to just, like, completely play it off. Be like, wow, that is a big axe you got there. How much does it weigh?
That is a fucking big axe, dude.
So I'm more focused on the little whelp than I am on this bird creature, and I'm speaking to the whelp in Draconic, introducing myself, and
And you see, like, the second you start, like, speaking to it in Draconic, kind of, like, pokes his head out, like, again, but, like, with more, like, urgency and kind of, like, an eyes wide, not, like, playing, kind of just, like, what? And kind of just, like, looking at you and, like, starts, like, fighting at her, like, harder to, like, she's still, like, it's small enough where she can, like, keep it, like, on her person if she wants to, but as far as, like, the extremities, like, I don't know, it's a little tough. So, like, it is definitely tiny, but it is definitely, like, responding to being spoken to in Draconic. So it can't, like, it's not breaking free, but it's because it's not big enough to yet.
Like, I would recognize that, this meant something to Anzor, so I would kind of just, like, sigh and kind of, like, give up and kind of, like, bring him from around my back and kind of, like, hold him almost up towards Skatha. But, I am only, like, 4 something, so not really high.
so I would ask Kiri in common how she was, how she acquired, or where did she find him, or what was his name? What is his name first, and then how did she find the whelp?
This is Anzor, and I found him while I was hunting a while back up in the Shiver Peak Mountains. He was buried in rocks and had a broken wing.
And you've what is the young whelp's name, Carrie?
Anzor.
Anzor. That's a fine name. So what are you guys? What are you guys doing out out here?
Heck,
You know that her people like seldom leave the mountain, from what you've learned of them.
Right. So what are you doing stuck up in a tree?
Out of character. She is pretty stuck up, isn't she?
Oh my god!
No, just.
I would like to refute that.
I'm going to kick you in the shin.
I second that refute.
Why is that out of character? I was just playing on words. Go on. Why are you stuck up in a tree?
Oh, people don't take kindly to dragons, then kick you out of the village, and you travel for a while, and then some stuff starts barking at you, and then you find yourself up in a tree.
Okay. Well, glad I was able to help.
Yes. Thank you.
So now, Scatha, you can't help but like turn back to what you came for, and you see here that there are two what's it called? Actually, all three of the gnolls that have been slain have perfectly intact tongues. I'll make nice claims.
Actually, while they were talking, Darrow snuck around them and was in the process of cutting one of the tongues out, and notices that they're looking at him, and then just looks up at them, tries to smile, and then cuts the tongue off and puts it in his pocket. And says,
Was that
raises his hand slowly?
Was that the tongue of the one that I killed? Or
no, it was not the one. It was not the one that you killed. If Darrow, would you have gone like I don't think you, having seen what he just did, want any trouble with this guy, right? If I'm not mistaken, from what I know about Darrow.
Not the one he just killed. No.
Yeah. Okay, word. That's
So
what.
the one that got his head blown off, or the one that had the
tongue off of the one that Flint blew up.
Yep.
Yeah, and
From the
Flint
bottom
would've-
half of its face.
Flint was already planning on giving it to you anyway, so.
Well, I was taking it that way that no one else would take it from us.
Oh, you're the man, dude.
So that was the one I went to, and they went to go survey the bodies, and like, who the fuck is this guy? And like, hi, hold on, just slowly pulls tongue out of mouth and cuts and pocket.
Do you guys say anything to him, or
I walk over.
I ignore him and I go to the one that I killed and start cutting out the tongue.
Oh yeah.
I guess towards Kiri, I will say, hi. You're also weird looking. My name is Darrow. What's your name?
Tyria, and those are some fantastic horns.
Thank you. I
She's
guess
getting
I
like
kind of
uncomfortably
like
close and kind of like takes a look at him.
That's not uncomfortable to him. It's just kind of the way that life is, because he gets uncomfortably close to people.
And you see, like
they're gonna get along very well.
They merge into a
eyes,
singular being. This isn't uncomfortable.
Her eyes, like, because of just like her avian like nature, like dilate to such like a massive size as she's like looking at them, like not like peak capacity, but you see just like they dilate from what they were to what they go to, and it's just like, well, like.
I try to hold as still as possible so that I don't move them when she's trying to inspect.
So now it's time that Flint and Bars walk over, and he goes like, you hear him saying to Flint, like, can't believe the fucking bleeding thing won't work for me. And then he says like, I'll let you have the shells, but where do you get your ammo from?
Hold on.
Bars, you know that you're gonna be the only gunsmith for me. And I guess I should have told you. That there gun only works for me. Sorry about that. But I kind of wanted to see you struggle.
You're a sick fuck.
Am I done again? God damn it.
Are you what
What?
again?
Dad? Dad? Hello? All
What's
right.
going on?
GG? I don't know. Think
I
probably.
think I heard him say, "Am I down again?" And then
Yeah,
he
I think
stopped talking.
because like earlier on in the session, he was like he would he was like
Yeah,
leaving
there
and
he
stuff.
goes.
I don't know why, but I don't know. But I think he thought that he was, but he wasn't, and then he just like reset all of his shit anyway. Feels
Oh,
bad.
maybe he accidentally had himself in mute in Discord.
Maybe.
Wait,
Um,
did I cut away from him too soon?
I don't think
No,
so.
no,
Is that what you're
no,
saying?
Don't, he said
No.
down. He meant like
Disconnect.
it's his internet, because his internet has been going in and out the whole time we've been playing.
He didn't say done, like DONE, like.
Oh,
down.
I thought that's what he
Said-
said. I got super worried. I was like, oh shit, man.
No. He's having a great time. Don't worry about him.
Okay.
Okay.
I haven't heard that laugh in a minute. All right. Anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, making
So-
a fool of bars.
And he says like, and if people ask, where do you get it from?
Well, bars.
I want to
You
hear
got
you
a
say
name
my
for
name.
your shop? 'Cause I'll
Bars
tell
is
'em
bullets
Bars
and booze.
is that really the name of the shop?
It is fucking
Did I
now.
stutter?
That's a great
Uh,
name, dude.
Skulker
Well,
walks up to the
Bars,
two
I'll
of them.
tell everybody who's wondering, although I don't think there's too many gun wielding folk out here. But if they ask me for the craftsmanship of my my ammunition, I'll be sure to tell them that I got it from BB&B, baby.
BB&B, let's fucking go. Dude. Yo,
I joke
Just
to
became
Bars.
canon. It is in the notebook.
Yeah,
So-
I just added it too.
he what's
I
it
don't
called?
see it. Never mind.
Fuck, I told that's totally through my train of thought. BB&B, baby. He says
With
like,
the accent.
yeah, like most of the folk on this side of the wall only have like rifles, boomsticks. Like one's got a hand cannon like that thing.
Well, this
he
this
says
here
like,
is one of a kind.
now am I getting the name correct? It's a Benthy.
Yeah, you can go. Dad will understand the reference, but it's Abenthy.
Yeah.
People call him Ben.
To think
You can just call him Ben.
today I got to hold the gun by old Ben himself. Wait till I tell my friends that. And then just like now, like all of you are like standing together, like in the clearing, more or less. Like the
Okay, wait,
tongues have been
side-
cut.
Side note: I'm fucking pissed at neckbeards and incels because I have to refrain myself from saying "tips my hat." I'm gonna have to do that the entire fucking time we're playing this campaign, bro. It's bullshit. So
No,
confused when I say that.
instead of saying "tip your hat," come up with some other terminology
Well, yeah, I'm already on.
that
I'm working on it.
Lower your
serves the
bread.
same purpose.
I give a flourish of my hat, or like rather,
Oh,
that's
wow,
more of like a
thanks, bro.
dramatic gesture.
First, like you take it off.
Yeah.
So
Um,
So I played a College of Swords bard in Connor's campaign for a little bit over a year.
This was
and
the
there's
hat I
thing
told
called
you
a
about.
blade flourish. So you can very much say, I show a hat, or I show a hat flourish, or I show a something flourish, and it fucking works.
I can just say, I accent my brim.
Word.
That fucking works.
Hell yeah.
So like I haven't had any communication or really like any interaction with Kiri yet. So like,
That's
I guess I look over at Kiri and I accent my
Carrie's in the
brim.
middle of like exploring my horns, I guess.
Inspecting.
So is what's it called? Did you say that you let Anzu go over to Skatha?
No, I think Skatha
Oh, no.
left to cut out the tongue of the thingy that he killed. So Anzu's with me. He's probably like as curious as I am. So like when I'm inspecting his like horns and like with curiosity, Anzu would probably be like on my shoulder or like sniffing over my like.
So like the two bodies are down and next to each other, and Kiri is close enough to me where from her shoulder to Skatha is the distance where it would take the Dragonborn to sniff him. Like you would imagine it's kind of like a trifecta of like close enough to do things.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
You're all basically just standing under this tree. You see this little tiny dragon, like this short little bird person, and this like tiny like what looks like a white dragon whelp, like poking its head like around and kind of just like sniffing and like behaving more like a puppy than like anything else. And you see it give like a tiny sneeze, and the air like from its nostrils, like as it exhales, like crystallizes to frost and like kind of just like falls to her shoulder.
Yep. Okay. Thanks, Dad. Can you just, when you're like doing stuff with a lot of background noise, can you just mute your mic so it's not, because like Ego's streaming, so it's like distracting.
No, I'm sorry. Yes, you're all good.
It's all good, man. Shit happens.
I'm sorry. I was like, oh yeah, sure. And then literally the stereotypical door slams noise.
I don't know how to mute the phone on this.
Fair enough.
Now I'm switching back to the computer.
Word. Yeah, that's what happened. I know the first time I did that in Mike's game, everyone was like, "What's that noise?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and just like, like stop. But so we see like Anzu like sort of like sniffing around and like kind of like, and he like sneezes and like the air like crystallizes to frost like in front of his like nostrils and then like kind of just falls to Kiri's shoulder.
And like Kiri would like pay attention to it because she's kind of used to him doing that already.
Mm-hmm. He's been starting to do that more and more.
Does the dragon have horns yet, or is he too young?
Very tiny horns. His horns, they're so cute.
So on the puff of frost, that's enough to make Darrow notice, away from finishing up cutting the tongue and putting it into his components pouch. He'll look up and say, oh, he has horns too. That's cool, but they're white. Mine are black. Am I a dragon? No, I don't think I'm a dragon. That's a dragon, right?
Yeah, and then she like takes Anzu off her shoulder and kind of like almost sticks him out towards Darrow, and like so he has a closer look and Anzu can kind of interact better.
Oh, I'll kind of gingerly hold out my arms, kind of like if he's being offered, I'll accept him, but not really ready to. Kind of like someone's like, oh, here's my new child, hold him. Like, I'll catch him if you drop him, but I don't want to. And we'll go, he's so pretty. Very cute. Oh, hi there.
And you see he kind of like is like sort of like sniffing in your direction, and he kind of like licks the air in your direction a couple times, and then you see he like turns around to the black dragonborn like behind or like, you know, to the left or wherever he is, and like begins like making tiny like cooing noises almost.
Oh,
Kind of just like almost like it's like speaking to him.
oh, I think he wants to meet him.
And he's kind of just like going back and forth between, and like he's giving Flint's direction to smell, and like, but you notice whenever he's like move like looking towards Skatha, he's like making this weird little like noise. Skatha, as you've never gotten to interact with a full-fledged dragon, but you can understand that it is like fledgling communication in a weird way. Like it is like recognizes the fact that you spoke to it and it is trying to speak back to you. It just doesn't have the means.
And am I understanding anything?
It's like
from it at all?
gibberish. It's just like noises and such. Like
That
you
it's
recognize
like-
what it's trying to do, but
it's
it's
like-
still like too young.
It's like 14-month-old talk.
Yeah. So I'm speaking in Draconic to the little whelp there, and just trying to be nice. Like, you're saying things like you're a good dragon. And,
Who's a good dragon? Well, who's a good
Yeah,
dragon? Well,
exactly.
And
you want to go for walksies?
And then pretty much. You're so cute, look at you. And then I noticed the rest of the people, and when I see Skulker and Flint and Darrow, and then I stop, giving the attention to the little whelp, and I turn to them and I introduce myself. Hello, everyone. My name is Skatha. I am from the Dragonborn village to the south. Who are you guys?
and you see like as he like says this, like the pommel of the ruby, or like not the pommel, excuse me, the ruby that's in like the head of the axe like catches the sun as it's like on his back, and like you see it like glows, like kind of like gleams at you.
It's very nice to meet you, Skatha. My name's Flint. And like I go up and I give you like a Spartan handshake, you know what I'm saying? Like one of those like on the forearms type deal.
Yes.
And I'm like, I heard about your people, and I've only encountered maybe one or two in my life. It's good to finally get to know one for real.
Pleased to meet you, Flint. I have never seen that weapon that you have in your hand there before. What is
He
that?
laughs and he goes, yeah, not many people have, if I'm being honest. This is what I like to call preservation, and she's beautiful. But in the common tongue, this is called a revolver.
Okay. Well, it's kind of a deadly weapon there, isn't it? It seems
got
like
no
you know how to
idea.
use it too.
I wouldn't be toting this if I didn't.
While this exchange is
axe you
going
got your
on,
back, that looks a little bit ornate. Looks like it could cause some serious damage. It almost looks like you got that handed down to you. Am I right about that?
It is a weapon of my village of long lineage, yes, and I've been entrusted with it, and am grateful to have it.
Think I might have heard about something about that. Well, looks like it couldn't have landed in hands better suited than you, so I'm glad that you're on our side.
Thank you, Flint.
Thank you, Skatha.
Also, like everyone is standing here, so like anyone, like feel free to like.
And miss, I don't think we've met before. My name's Flint.
she kind of like takes her eyes off the axe that she's been admiring, kind of like ignoring the conversation. Like she turns towards Flint, kind of like talking to me. Yeah, like she just got distracted by the shiny, so she doesn't really know what's going on. So she kind of looks at him confused.
I believe you're an Arakora, right? I think you reside in the mountains of the peaks. Am I right about that?
Used to.
Sean, what did you just try to do?
What is very clumsily being done as this? Are you trying to play with the dragon?
No, I tried to cut another tongue out.
Oh
all
my
the tongues,
god.
all the tongues are gone.
I was gonna say, if I'm not mistaken, Skulker has one, Darrow has one, and Scatha has one.
So I tried to sneakily attempt to open another one of the mouths to see if there was a tongue left, and everyone saw me do it.
So absent.
And I
was just like, oh, there's no okay.
I go, Darrow, I think it's a good time to learn how to share, don't you think?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Josh, you have a 6 to sleight of hand. You rolled a 12, bro.
Yes, I also had a 6 to perception and rolled a 12. The curse of
You're fucking
Jedron
nice.
carries between campaigns.
That's consistency.
I rolled an 11 with a 5, so we're all trash.
Oh.
dude.
I have completed the trifecta. Let us join hands. So
I suppose there are things that I should be improving on, and that might be one of them. I'm not used to people watching me work.
Or just don't get
So-
caught. Could work on that too.
That's another thing that might be helpful.
And like Flint glares at Skulker and he goes, "We're trying to break his bad habits, Skulker. No need for you to rile him up like that."
I take a big swig from my flask. Break bad habits, huh?
Well, you're too far gone to work on you. But Darrow here has got promise, and I intend to see him become a fitting member of our society. So if you would please not be such a bad influence, I'd appreciate it.
No promises.
Fair enough.
Oh, I look at Scatha and say, I'm Skulker. I skulk.
Pleased to meet you, Skulker.
You as well.
Bro, we got a ragtag bunch of people here, man. Holy
you guys are
shit.
quite a set.
We are a band of absolute misfits.
Yeah.
That's what I was telling Connor the other day. I was like, we're all misfits. I'm the oldest misfit.
I'm a demon
I'm the
boy.
youngest. I'm the
Hold on.
youngest misfit.
Are you sure you're the oldest misfit?
I'm the youngest.
Dude, I'm
How
Flint
old
200.
is definitely the oldest misfit.
How old are you, Kiri?
Flint.
Me?
Yeah.
Kiri's like 3.5.
Okay.
The
yeah.
fuck?
Yeah, because
Yeah, they
birds.
mature
Yeah.
really early.
Birds live to be like 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like 15. I guess that's the age of adulthood, so that would be the age of whatever.
Yeah,
so.
age of.
Josh, how old's your character?
Hold on, I'm looking up Geralt of Rivia age. No, I'm 50.
Or yeah. You wanna tell
5-0?
Luke, or should I?
I'll tell him.
It's like 200 something.
Yeah.
Yeah, yo, I'm 225, bro.
Yeah.
You
No,
older
no.
than me?
Luke, like in character, dropped that he was at least 215 years old. It's in the notes.
Yeah, I did.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you're...
He's a
I'm still
high elf.
thinking you're like
But
some human
he,
race,
like
but...
Luke, when we met, was like, "Yo, dude, like if you've lived on the plains for like 215 years, you'd know me."
Yes,
And I was
I
like,
remember.
"Well, maybe I'll live that long and
Yeah, yeah.
know those things." Yeah, I'm like 25 or something.
Yeah, so Skulker is definitely second oldest. Kiri's youngest.
Wait, how old's Skulker?
50.
Oh, nice.
Scatha's 15. Kiri's like 3.5. And Darrow's like 25.
Let's get it.
So I hate to cut it off here, but
Then
I got
don't.
work early tomorrow. So I
Then
must
don't. I'm just
I'm sorry that I know it was kind of like there was a lot of like downtime for like what's it called? You know, I tried to bring it together as quickly as I could. Thank you
It
guys
was
for coming.
very good, Connor. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Took the words out of my
Incredibly
mouth.
cinematic and well done.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I agree.
Absolutely.
my rolls are getting worse. I totally agree.
I'm fucking hype. I think we got good chemistry in this group. I feel like we're gonna have.
Also, I gotta say, I really appreciated the fact that there was like 3 nulls, and you didn't say, "Hey, there's nulls at your feet. Roll initiative." You just let the narrative handle it.
Yeah.
And that
That's
was incredibly well done.
Thank you. That's kind of I'm like gonna experiment with more of that. I call it in my head cinematic combat. I want to try and use more of that when it's like appropriate and less like hard numbers. I would save that for like a significant encounter or
I'm
something.
totally down with that. I love it.
Yeah, that's
Right.
That's fucking dope.
It's the encounter we all know that the players are going to win. So
Right.
rather than slowing everything down to let them know
Exactly.
they're going to win, just like, okay, let's see how this cinematically plays.
That and it gives it like way more character. Like it gives
Yeah,
like
dude,
it
that was
lets
so.
characters play out.
You're like, dude, you hear this thunderous crack, and all of a sudden the fucking goal just falls off the tree. I was like, yo, that's disgusting, bro.
Yeah, but and like feel free to like
Yikes.
like for example
stop.
like
I didn't notice you. You
Kiri's
successfully hid
when
from-
she tried to like sleight of hand the perception check, she got like a 7 or whatever. Like if you want to role play it off, just like, well, this dragon's really fighting me. What do you want? Or like, I don't know. Like I encourage like all forms of like if you want to just get into it or like just like claim something is true. Like if it's not totally insane, I will 100% roll with it.
No, that was exactly why in the middle of other people talking, I just randomly rolled a sleight of hand. They're like, why was that? I was like, well, I thought I was Drax and moving incredibly slow. So therefore, I was invisible. And it was slowly trying to open a mouth. And like, what are you doing? Like,
The best part would have
I'm
been if you rolled like
invisible.
if you rolled like a 16 or like a 15 plus, we just wouldn't have even acknowledged the fact that you rolled. And then you would have been like, oh, I checked.
If I would have just opened the mouth, no, there's no tongue. Closed it. Open the next mouth. Oh, there's no tongue. Closed.
Actually, I rolled my sleight of hand as an attempt at, you know what, I'm gonna steal the tongue out of his, like, where did you put the tongue? Like, to steal it away from you, like, oh, you're gonna try to steal one of our tongues? Let's show you how that goes.
Yo, Connor,
What's up?
real quick, because I have this.
God damn!
Can I just change the range on preservation to 1? Like 1 to 240?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before I go, does anyone have any questions about like
Why do my dice suck? No, no
you figure that one out? You let me know. I need that answer as well.
Fuck!
No, excellent job. I'm looking forward to next week, everyone. Good job, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it's gonna
Definitely
be a
can't
lot
wait
of
for next
fun.
week.
I feel like me
And
and
I-
Sean's character are gonna get along very well. We're gonna be like the two, like,
What the fuck?
We're gonna be the awkward ones.
yeah, we're gonna be two awkward ones that like don't have personal bubbles and like.
The Darrow was homeschooled and then chased out of his home, so he's just like, so homeschool is life, right?
Oh, so you're like my so you're basically like my psychotic cousin Dylan. Got it.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
So it's
Have a
like,
good night,
okay, I'm
everyone.
done with this conversation. I'm walking away.
Alright.
Yeah.
Say bye.
All right, we'll see you.
All right, guys are awesome.
Good night, Connor.
All
Good
right,
night.
good
Next week.
everyone.
Good night,
Bye,
Connor.
Everyone. Peace.